us to order at 5:30 p.m. And if everyone will please rise for the pledge. Have you done this before? I think so. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendships among united cultures.
All right. Mrs. Sandoval, roll call, please.
Dr. Shambo. Mrs. Hunt Daly.
Here.
Mr. Jaramillo.
Here.
Mr. Ortiz. Mrs. Lee.
Present, and we do thankfully have a quorum. Board members, adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda, and if so, what? All right. Superintendent Widener.
I recommend that we approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented? All right, thank you. Yeah. It has been moved by Ms. Hunt Daly and seconded by Mr. Jaramillo to approve the agenda as presented. Is there any need for discussion? Hearing none, we shall proceed to roll call. Mrs. Sandoval, please.
Mrs. Hunt Daly.
Here. Or yes, I'm sorry.
Mr. Jaramillo.
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Aye, the motion carries. Board members, we have 3 sets of minutes, so I will have 3 separate motions for that. We'll start with March 18th minutes. Are there any amendments to the minutes, and if so, what? Superintendent Widener.
I recommend that we approve the March 18th minutes.
And is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Mr. Jaramillo and seconded by Ms. Hunt Daly to approve the March 18th minutes as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, we shall proceed to a roll call vote. Mrs. Sandoval.
Mrs. Hunt Daly.
Yes.
Mr. Jaramillo.
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Aye, the motion carries. And on to March 25th. Are there any amendments? All right, Superintendent Widener.
I recommend that we approve the minutes from March 25th.
And is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Ms. Hunt Daly and seconded by Mr. Jaramillo to approve the minutes for March 25th as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, we shall proceed to roll call. Mrs. Sandoval, please.
Mrs. Hunt Daly.
Yes.
Mr. Jaramillo. Mrs. Lee.
Aye, the motion carries. And finally, we have the March 27th minutes. Are there any amendments, board members? Superintendent Widener.
I recommend that we approve the minutes from March 27th.
Excellent. And is there a motion to approve the March 27th minutes as presented?
So moved.
And a second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Mr. Jaramillo and seconded by Ms. Hunt Daly to approve the March 27th minutes as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, we shall proceed to a roll call vote. Mrs. Sandoval, please.
Mrs. Hunt Daly,
Yes.
Mr. Jaramillo,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Aye, the motion carries. Mrs. Sandoval, are there any citizens to address the board this evening?
No, ma'am.
There are no citizens. Thank you. Mr. Widener, the good stuff.
Yes, this is
Recognition.
always a great time. We get to recognize our students. We get to our first meeting of the month for those of you in the audience. We recognize our students that are doing really well. We recognize our schools that come and showcase their DASH plans. And so tonight's a good night. It's my honor to start our recognitions by recognizing two of our students who have qualified for the National Archery Competition from Grant Cibola County Schools. It is my honor to recognize Krish Quasmundo. Awesome. Congratulations. Three students that qualified in national archery. Congratulations to Eliana Souza. And finally, congratulations, we want to recognize Sean Souza. We'll take a picture and then we'll bring parents up and principals. Where do you all go to school? Mesa View, Cabero, Cabero. Awesome.
Big coaches.
Yes, we want their families and their principals.
And the coaches.
And their principals.
There's two coaches back there. There's the coach back there. Miss Vagos, Miss Coaches. She's looking
Congratulations.
We also want to recognize a few of our students. This last weekend, we had students from Grants High School and Laguna Acoma High School competing at the State Skills USA Conference. Skills USA is a very diverse student organization where students can compete in everything from broadcast to film production to construction trades to medical terminology, medical equipment. And so we had a lot of students from our district at the State Skills Conference. And we are very proud to recognize the broadcast students who received a gold medal in video news production. So there were 4 students on the team, and they'll be going to the National Skills USA. Congratulations to Logan Hooper. Congratulations to Joel Small. Congratulations to Matthew Holdeen. And congratulations to Cody Malonis. Mr. Rivera, Mr. Gonzalez, would you guys like to say anything?
Sure.
Thank you. Yeah. You can get this to your team.
Yeah, we'll get him to the team, for sure.
Mrs. Elkins, are you gonna join us? Mrs. Barajas?
Was sitting over there. Yes, he is.
Is that like you don't even know each other?
It's a guy thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you guys go. Break it up there.
Got a lot of stuff.
Parents, you want parents?
Big B, let's go.
We got it, you got it.
There you go.
We'll squeeze in like we really like each other.
You don't wanna be in that picture, Amy? Thank you.
Mr. Gonzalez? Cody?
Well, we hope you won't get tired of us because we're not done yet. We got a lot to do, and really just want to reiterate our thanks to our administrators, Mrs. Elkins, Mrs. Barajas, Mr. Armillo, this board for all their support. Honestly, that's kind of where it starts because, as you well know, that is where it starts. We had 38 kids this year, which was our biggest team. We did place third in another category, Quiz Bowl, and actually Cody is on that team as well. And so we feel like we're gonna reload a little bit for next year and bring home some more trophies, but otherwise, we're excited about this win and looking forward to there is an opportunity for these guys to go to Atlanta. We'll be raising some money for that, and if you'll allow us, we'd like to come back and see if maybe there's a role that the board could play in helping get us there. I know tonight's not that night, but if you'll allow us to do that, we'd love to come talk to you about that. We've got some things we need to put together, some information and such, but if we can do that, we would really appreciate that. If you have anything else.
No, just want to thank you guys for all the support that you guys give for all the students and for the organization. Like Mr. Gonzalez said, we're not done yet. I think last year I was up here saying we were gonna come back and we were gonna ask to go to Atlanta, and here we are. So we're gonna, hopefully next year we get to take a lot more students. So thank you very much, I appreciate it.
And I'll leave you with one thought. I think this year too, we folded in Mr. Marayo into the welding teacher, who's well known to the students at school, and Mrs. Pettis, the new foods teacher, and the teachers there are now they got to see firsthand how the students behaved, how they performed, and before we'd even left Albuquerque, the talk amongst us was, what more can we do? Mr. Marayo, who you might know, is notoriously, he likes to be to himself, and we admire that about him, but he's finally saying, wow, I need to do more. And that's kind of where we're at too, Mr. Rivera and I. There's more we can do and there's more we will do, so.
Ms. Pettis also, she said, what can I do next year? What kind of support can I have? She got to see all the different categories that skills offers, and she's like, what can I do? So it's nice to see that we have other teachers jumping on board and wanting to help us out. So
Mr.
Thank you
Rivera,
all
is
for your
this
time.
our third or fourth year with Skills USA?
This is our third year, yeah.
Our third year. That's amazing, and we've qualified for nationals.
yes.
Thank you guys for providing those opportunities, and
Yeah, some of those schools are pretty
Cody,
big.
thank you for representing us.
He'll be back next year. Actually, 3 of the 4 kids on the gold medal team will be back next year, so we're gonna make another run at it next year.
I would like to, thank you guys for doing this. When I was running for this position, it was all about the CTE program. I had a vision. Not everybody wants to go to college to be doctors and teachers or lawyers. There's always those people that want to, go into the blue collar field, production, nursing, welding, carpentry, And this is pretty much what I'm seeing is it's like the foundation for a CT, you know, towards that vision of, you know, a continuing ed to where people, when they finish here, they're gonna go, we know that they're gonna go in the field, whether it's gonna be a carpenter or electrician. In the movie business, you know, New Mexico's turning into a big movie industry, so there'll be jobs. They'll be able to leave here graduate from here and get work, in the movie industry.
I can tell you that the mood at the school is definitely firmly planted in that. I mean, if I don't have any facts, but I wanna say that the CTE classes are the most popular at the school. And it's certainly not because of our personalities. There gotta be something else.
We gotta give these kids another choice besides going to college, you know, just another direction, and this is just the foundation of it. Thank you.
And that's
Congratulations.
really, really nice about Skills USA is the way they compete. They compete against all the schools in the state of New Mexico. There's no 2A or 3A or 4A or anything. It's everybody that's on the same field. Hobbs is a really big school. They, every single one of their kids that goes to high school has to be signed up with Skills USA. So they're 800 members strong. So.
And
we're-
y'all
And we're
got
part- and we're
gold.
part of them.
Good job, guys.
The
Congrats.
great thing is students that are in CTSOs have a higher graduation rate.
Yeah.
And so they have something to be part of.
Excellent.
True. Thank you all anyway, so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, appreciate it.
Congrats.
Cody?
Mr. Widener, presentation, sir.
At this time, our archery qualifiers are going to come back and talk to you about their upcoming trip for the National Archery Competition.
You make everybody seasick going back and forth to the podium
Hi.
and everything.
To the chair and members of the board, to our superintendent, to our district directors, to our principal, especially my principal, Mr. Ike, Emery, principal of Mesa View Elementary School, to the staff of Mesa View and all the people here at Pleasant, good afternoon or evening to all of you. And thank you very much for the undying support to the archery team. My name is Julius Katapang, the PE teacher and coach of archery in Mesa View. We are grateful and forever will be grateful for all the things you have done for the team. I am here to present one of our students in Mesa View who won the state archery tournament held last March 8, 2025, and who qualified and will represent our district, our school, and the state of New Mexico in the upcoming national championship in the state of Utah on April 24 to 26, 2025. First, let me give you a background about the archery team in Mesa View Elementary School in this simple presentation. How we started our journey. Mesa View is not only known excellent in academic field, not to mention their recent awards received by the students such as math, science, spelling, etc. We are also excelling in sports. It was through the initiative of Ms. Griego, my former principal, back then to continue to train and open the after-school program for archery when I came to Mesa View Elementary School. That was late 2021. It was supported by the district through Dr. Martin up to now with a continuing support by my principal, Emery. Okay, the club aims to discover potential young athletes who will compete against other schools and hopefully advance to state competition, now aim for national competitions. It also aims to foster positive attitudes such as discipline, competitiveness, and camaraderie among the group members. And lastly, this club also aims to provide students with greater access and equal opportunities to participate in diverse sports such as archery beyond the more commonly played ones. Now, we started 2022, we started in competition in our own school, then we go above at district level, and then we also go to state tournament 2022, and then we go 2023, the same, we go to state competition, then district competition 2, and then 2024 was last year. So, and then finally, 2025, we get awards in district competition, and now we are going to national because we got the state competition. Some of our students who made it to qualify for the national championship. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pride and honor to present to you one of the pride students of Mesa View Elementary School, an academic achiever and an athlete, one of the best archer in our school, Chris Quismundo. Chris Quismundo is a fifth grade student at Mesa View Elementary School, ranked six overall in the state of New Mexico Elementary Girls Division. And now next, we are targeting to, although we are qualified to go to Utah for the national championship. And we are asking for continued support, and thank you very much on behalf of the archery team, not only our school, but all the on behalf of the PE teachers and coaches of the archery team in our district. We thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening to our superintendent, Mr. Widener, members of the board of directors of Grand Cibola County Schools, everyone who are present tonight. Once again, good evening. My name is Jeffrey Sausa, and I am a PE teacher at Cubero Elementary School. And I am excited to announce that our Cubero archers have emerged victorious in the state tournament and have earned a spot at the national level. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our district, Grand Cibola County Schools, for your unwavering support, including financial to our archers. Thank you so much for that. And special thanks to my principal, Ms. Monica Martinez, to my IC, Ms. Balu, and our school secretary, Ms. Angelica, and my fellow coach, Ms. Gallegos, and to my wife, Isel, for making this for sure. For helping me. So this achievement was made possible because of all your support. Thank you so much. And the archers from Cubero, Sean Marty Sausa is a fourth grader, and is ranked as a seventh placer out of 153 archers elementary boys, and he's ranked number 2 for all fourth graders. And Eliana Sausa, she's a fifth grader, ranked as fifth place out of 120 Archers Elementary Girls. And lastly, I kindly request your support in covering the essential expenses for the tournament. And the estimated costs are outlined in these brochures. Thank you so much. Once again, good evening and have a nice night.
Thank you very much and congratulations on your accomplishments, archers. Very, very excellent. Mr. Widener, I believe we have an action item, sir.
We do, President Lee, and my recommendation is that we approve the travel of these students to Salt Lake City and work with the business office to see how we can help support them in their travel on this trip.
Excellent. Board members, is there a motion to approve the students to travel to Salt Lake City, Utah for the National Archery Competition?
So moved.
And is there a second? I will second.
Oh.
Oh, thank you, Miss Daly. It has been moved by Mr. Jaramillo and seconded by Ms. Hunt Daly to approve the students to travel to Salt Lake City, Utah for the National Archery Competition. Board members, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we shall proceed to a roll call vote. Mrs. Sandoval, please.
Dr. Shambo,
Yes.
That was a yes.
Mrs. Hunt Daly,
Yes.
Mr. Jaramillo,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Aye, the motion carries. Congratulations. That's very exciting. All right, we're gonna move on to presentations, Mr. Widener.
Yes, as I mentioned kind of in our opening, we are very fortunate tonight that it is our first meeting of the month, and so we start with our dash plans, and we've kind of spread these out through the year, and I'm very excited that tonight we get to hear about the dash plan from Mesa View Elementary. So it's my honor to turn the floor over to Miss Amy Ray.
Are we the last one? Are we the last?
No, I think we still have one more.
Okay, well, then never mind. All right. President Lee, members of the board, superintendent, executive directors, thank you so much for this opportunity for us to be able to share a lot of what we're doing at Mesa View. I know that there was a template, but we kind of went off course and created our own, but it will be within 7 minutes. I am hoping, okay? That's our goal. But you have the most talkative people from Mesa View, so we are A squared. We are here to represent our Vikings, so enjoy. All right, so our strategic goal alignment, there are two. We have creating a safe, supportive, inclusive, and respectful environment. And the other one is engaging our diverse families and communities and student success. So if you see on the first introduction, where this would encompass both of them, we are embracing empowerment. With a fluctuating enrollment number, we currently serve 474 students. We have been through many different obstacles, but we have made it through every one of them. Our dash plan consisted of several components to include making gains in ELA and math, which is super important, making early literacy and literacy a focus, improving attendance, improving in communication with parents, promoting SEL, and making it through all of our roadblocks, literally. If you've been down Washington, you'll see all the orange. And so again, this is associated and aligned to the dash plan goal of improvement in our school culture, which is super important because it encompasses a lot. Our culture is the most important to us because it includes our families, it includes our students, it includes our teachers, anybody who comes into our school. It includes our ethnic groups, subgroups, our languages, everything. So our school culture is super important to us, which is why we have that as our major focus for our DASH plan. Secondly, I have my notes written down. Making gains in formal and classroom assessments as well as in report cards. Report cards seems to always be something we look past. But when you can go in and meet with a student and say, why do you have this low 70? You're nearing a D. You have those conversations with your kids, they know somebody's looking out for them. They might not get that from others, but we're there to support them. Along with that, we have MLSS Focus. Thank goodness we were able to attend several of the trainings on MLSS. That to us is important. Now we have that to help us drive our interventions. The second thing would be SEL check-ins, and then of course that builds the confidence that our students need. Currently, we have a HIT program, which is sponsored by the New Mexico PED. It is totally funded by them, so district doesn't put any money out, but we were invited to attend that. That's been all school year for our after-school program. And I think that's because of our structured literacy grant that we had last year at Mesa View. So they see we mean business and they keep inviting us and we keep taking that opportunity. We also have our math and EL languages funded by GCCS and helping us with the tutoring. We have at least 74 students that are taking part in that program, and we are seeing many gains in that. PECs for our special ed. We are using PECs full force, and that is another communication device that our students needed in order to be able to communicate better. That is full force. We also have our focus, which continues to be on our subgroups. I'm gonna let Ms. Cameron talk about the subgroups and ATSI and give a little background of some of our testing data.
So last year, currently, we were in ATSI, which was our subgroup. Native Americans were failing a little bit. And so we took the initiative at our school to dive deep into their data, look at their previous test scores, see where the item analysis comes up, what standards are they lacking in, and really hone in on giving them the extra help through the modalities at which they learn. Our Native American population learns differently. Some are visual learners, so we've got to be more visual with our presentations on our instruction. So we focused on our delivery of our instruction, we focused on our data analysis of our tests, and then we also helped them with our tutoring program as well. So then we got the great news that we were out of that particular section, and now we've moved on to even still keep them at our high point. We still want that group. We're out, yay, we don't want to stop. So we're still continuing to move forward with this subgroup. And I can't be more happy with this subgroup because they're still showing gain as of this year's beginning of the year and middle of the year IMSSA test. So we have this little joke that the 1% always counts. We got to do 1%, Ms. Cameron, 1%. Well, guess what? Our data is doing what it's supposed to do at Mesa View. So you have your basic level, which is the red, where they're not performing and they need lots of support. Then you have the yellow group, which is the nearing proficient, and then you have the proficient. What should happen in your data is it should go lose at the need support, gain in the middle, gain at the green. And that's exactly what this Native American group is doing in all of their reading, language, and math subjects, okay? In addition to that, we don't just stop with this group, we do it with our whole population. So I have grade level PLCs and data is a main focus of that. So through these tests, the kids take their tests and then we anxiously wait for that middle of the year test and the results to come back. We do a plus gain, which is whether they gained in their resolve or whether they lost. We do it from a class, we do it from a kid perspective, from a class perspective, and from a grade level perspective, so that you can see in each one of those areas how they do increase. We have conversations around item analysis. Item analysis is crucial. That's what your kids don't get. So if it shows a standard that it shows up on the item analysis, that's what we talk about in PLCs. We do then a standard-based discussion. What is this standard talking about? What does your instruction look like to meet this? Are you stopping? Are you meeting the whole standard in its entirety? And then these conversations that we have around the teachers and with me and Miss Ray, we have these dives into the standards, and it really gets us talking about then, okay, we're teaching the standard right. Does the resource and my assignment that I'm giving, does it meet the need of the standard, or do I need to supplement? We have conversations around that stuff. So we're constantly making moves to make sure that our data is increasing, and it's amazing. In reading, just to give you a little hint with this subgroup, from BOY to middle, they increased 7.86%. In their language component, they increased 1.36. And then in their math, they increased 4.75. So I just want to thank the Grand Cibola County Schools for giving a position of an instructional coach that can actually dive into the data for the teachers, present that data to them and show them where we're lacking as a group, and have colleague conversations around how we're going to make that better and meet their needs before end of the year. So we're hoping that if we're making these gains just in one jump from one test to the next, I can't wait to see what's going to happen at the end of the year, because we constantly have these conversations year round.
All right, and then the next thing is SEL. So of course, we're still focusing on SEL, and Miss Tammy White has a team. We're part of the team. We would meet at 7 in the morning, have our planning meetings, and we would go from there to plan out the entire month. We also have school-wide activities that include Zumba, that include what was the house called? Escape room, which was so hard. But it was amazing. You know, we had teams working together to try and solve the next clue. We have stuff like that that's happening. We currently have a team of 7 to include EAs, we have teachers, we have counselor, and our goal is just to make sure that we get the feedback from everybody of what we need to tackle. Do we need to work on manners? Do we need to work on self-esteem? Do we need to work on how we can be ugly at times with our mean words? You know, all of those things are touched on throughout our school month, and we associated our month or our calendar to the movie Inside Out, whatever. It's a children's movie, but it's associated to emotions, and we dress in that color in the month, and it's amazing because we just have that dialogue with our students. We remind them we need to be good people, we need to be kind, we need to be this, we need to be that. So SEL is still happening at Mesa View. The other thing that we are doing is we now have an autism team at our school. And this again is engaging our diverse families. This is supporting them to help them. This is headed up by Miss Janice Bodley, Miss Mickey Sanchez, our SLP at Mesa View, and Miss Gann. And the exciting thing about this is they meet with the autistic families once a month. They give them support of how to carry on a lesson, how to use visual calendars at home, how to use their schedules at home, and what to expect if their student is struggling with transitions, how they can be better at supporting those families. And then through Ms. Griego, we also had some of the same team who are signed up with the SWREC Region 9 Autism Program. It's super cool though, because when they come into our school, it's like, oh, you're already doing that. Maybe you need to tell me what we need to do. So we're ahead of the game in trying to make sure that those students, as with all our special ed students, are included in every single one of the components in our DASH plan. Thank you, Ms. Griego, for that, for getting that established for us. The next thing would be attendance. So we all know that if we don't have students in school, they are not learning. And that is, to me, one of the hardest things for us to face. Whether they are tardy, whether they are getting checked out early, whether they are just not coming, that is really hard to face for a teacher. And so one of the biggest things we thought was gonna happen with our new rerouting for the second time was that we were gonna have more late students. It's funny because they're getting there before 8:10. We did move our clock back a little bit, but the parents have made their adjustments. And I'm thinking, this is working better than the front. So whatever they're doing, the parents knew we had two plans for this rerouting. It's we go online or we sit and be patient in the line, and our parents are doing that. And I think it's a positive move because, like I said, students are coming to school pretty much on time. We don't have that many chronic absenteeism as we did prior. We're still working on getting that percentage up to 90%. Right now, we are currently at about 89.6, and we're making better gains at that at attendance. The lowest we've been is like 87% with 30 chronic absentee absent students, but we're making gains in that. And I think that's one of the biggest thing is when our EWS have those family meetings that we support them. We're not there to just judge them, to belittle them. It's like, how can we help? What do you need us to do to get your students here? Well, all I need is daycare. All I need is an after-school program. We've gotten even the littlest of the little into futures, and they even have their own escort. So helping families, supporting them is something that we aim to do every single day at our school. And with the help of our team, with our teachers, with our parents, and mostly our students, we're making strides. We're doing what we need to do. And whether we're making that 1% gain in math, ELA, whether we're getting one more kid to school each day, whether we're getting one more kid marked off the tier for contracts, whether we're making that teacher who rolls in at 7:48, Ms. Griego knows, and she's getting here at 7:47, that is a gain. We do not miss any of our gains, but we also know that we have lots of improvements to make. We also know that we want to be reflective. We want for everybody that sees something to be able to tell us, this is where I think you need to change. This is where I think you need to grow. It only makes us stronger and better. And so that, to me, is one of the biggest things, is climbing that attendance ladder. We will get there eventually. We gotta incentivize, we gotta make it engaging for our kids to wanna come, and I think that's where we're making good strides as well. And I think the next slide is basically, sorry, going back to that other slide, that was our kindergarten class who had perfect attendance. I think that's one of the drivers because our EWS are on that. Every single month, they're recognizing our classrooms. And they're striving, they're competing. Our March Madness is over with. I can't remember who won, but they will be celebrated. And so I'm proud of all our classes. And then I think the last one is just where we're gonna go from here, that we're just committed to stay strong. We need to work together. Some of our inspiring initiatives is to continue working with early literacy and making those gutsy goals for students, giving them the chance to fail, but then being there to pick them back up. We emphasize the letter sounds. Everything that has to do with literacy is going to pay off in other content areas. And that's what we believe, that's what we've seen. And that is pretty much it for Base to View. Is there anything else, Ms. Cameron?
I just want to say that thanks to Dr. Martin for, we had an idea of having Reading Horizons come in, and we did a reading program over the summer, and he purchased that phonics program. We saw a need in our primary level. We don't have a phonics program in schools, and we realized that we needed that. And with the combination of Hegarty, which is a fluency type phonemic program, we have that, as well as the Reading Horizons, which our teachers have already been using. we're already seeing great gains in the primary level. And it also goes up into the upper levels to fifth grade, where it's Reading Horizons Elevate, and our fourth and fifth grade teachers are using that as well. So hopefully we'll get back to that phonemic awareness to where I don't have to think about spelling, where it's gonna harbor me in my writing, it's gonna harbor me in my reading, it's gonna, all that stuff. I just know the word because I know the sound. So we're hoping to get that authenticity back in our.
And the picture that is there, that is a pre-K class.
Yeah,
So
that's
they're
what
writing.
reminded me.
They are writing.
That's what reminded me of that whole thing.
Pre-K is writing, they are sounding out words, they're reading words. And so it is trickling up into the upper grades. And, you know, we have to help those fifth graders who are going into sixth become better readers. Then they will be able to solve that multi-step math problem. So for sure, that is it. If you have any questions, we are here to answer. Was it 7 minutes?
Ish.
It was a little bit longer than that.
That was Ms. Cameron's fault.
7 minutes in our mind.
It's okay, +1, we're done. Do you have any questions?
Board members, any questions at this time?
I just have a comment, you know, that's, how many Native Americans do you have in your school?
How many do we have? We have 264
Pretty
Native
much half
American
of your
students.
population?
Yes. And the
Well, that's good to
majority
hear
of them are
that, you know,
Navajo
that
students.
kind of falls under the Yazi Martinez, you know, but you know, we're trying to help those kids, and then also autism, you know, the autistic kids, they all fall under that same thing. Congratulations.
Thank you, ladies. I think Dr. Guy,
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Guy.
How are you doing all? I really appreciate the presentation. I was making notes on your dash goals, and then I was looking at the data on the state website. So, but I was pleased to hear the discussion about the subgroups, the effort to dive deeply into the data, the item analysis, and what I think is of great importance is to identify those standards that seem to be more challenging than other standards. And then I looked at the data on early literacy assessment, and I was trying to see whether or not the early language assessment was part of your report here, because the performance of the kids who are very young is extremely critical. It's foundational to those who are going to go into third grade. The academic vocabulary that the kids must have in K1 and 2. I think Francie, I remember I talked to you about that some time ago, that was foundational to what we do. If it is so foundational, have we been able to persuade our parents, bless their hearts, that it is important for their little young ones to get to school every day? And that's what I'm thinking that you're paying attention to. You mentioned in your dash plan attendance, and that you're in the high 80s, but not quite 90s. And so that was important to hear you engage in continuous discussion about how we improve that. When I think about the challenges of these subgroups, one of the most critical ones, in addition to Native Americans, is the students with disabilities. And what I noticed is that all schools have challenges. The whole district is challenged by the persistent uh, academic underachievement by our students with disability that appears to be statewide also. So when we are making the analysis of this, are there any cross-referencing where are there large percentages of students with disabilities in each of the subgroups, such as Native Americans? Do we find that that the students who are Native American, is there a significant population of them who are also students with disabilities? And those that are, and then also are they English learners? That is another group that I noticed that was critical in your in the information that is available. When I look at your critical actions under let's see on ELA, you said support students in layer 2 and 3. What's your discussion regarding students who are in level 1? What are your comments about the significant percentage of the Native American students who are in level 1? That basically that's Namasa, which is different from IMASA. So when you say layer 2 and layer 3, is that an IMASA layer or is it NAMASA layer?
That's a MLSS layer. That's our way of helping our students with interventions, whether it be an intervention or intensive intervention. And so that's how we're able to move our students, and they don't just sit there at a layer or a tier. They can move at any point of time. They can go to layer 1, which is those students that are progressing well at their grade level. Layer 2 might be those students who get it, but they still need a little bit more to help them. That could be just with organization, that could be with reading, that could be with writing. You get down to the students in the layer 2, layer 3, those are the students that are needing the intensive interventions. And then some of those students that we're referring to in level 3, some of those students do take that alternative test. However, there have been those changes that we have had to make. And so that's been done for alternative setting.
Okay, that's now I understand. When I looked at your dash goals, it says support students in layer 2 and 3. So I was saying, okay, well, Namasa says level 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So that kind of confused me. Now you cleared it up. Basically, we're talking about layer 2 and 3. MLS is layer 2 and 3. And we know that MLSS layer 1 is for everybody.
Right.
That we must succeed. Everybody gets the necessary instruction at level 1. And that has to be extremely effective, level 1. Level 2 are those kids who require additional assistance, interventions, and strategies that are necessary. And level 3 is much more intensive. Now, when we are thinking about referring students for an IEP or any needs in that sense, we're using a different mechanism to decide that. Just because you're in level 3 in MLSS doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be that's a predictor of whether or not you're going to need to be referred for diagnosis. It's amazing how attendance can be challenging for the families, for the parents. You got some young parents who have a lot of issues, who have multiple things that they got to do, and are having difficulty in juggling everything at the same time. So I think that's it's really important for them to get to school. Just looking at this, math we know is the greatest need in your district, in your school, as well as others. You're saying that your kids grew from 12% to 18%. That's on the IMASA. And then students grew by 3 to 12%. Increase to growth 15, when you say increase to 15% growth, are you referring to the end of year?
That's
testing
included with, yeah, that's included with all the different stages of how they can make growth. So it's a cumulative percentage rather than just taking, and the one that you're referring to is in third grade. The one that we presented is school-wide.
Go away. Informative report. I appreciate it from all of your staff. Congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Anything further, board members?
Just like to, I'm gonna try to put it in words where the great camaraderie that you've created at your school is very enlightening. I like that you're all working together, especially on attendance and preschool. Sometimes we get the idea that preschool is just coloring pages and making little trinkets and stuff, but it's important. That's where you set the stage for their learning, and we all know that. I've been mostly high school, and so we get those that didn't learn quite enough during the elementary years, and it's like as a teacher you start all over again teaching them the basic stuff. So I like the moves that you've made to include them in your instructional methods. You've incorporated a lot of new avenues, and I'd be really interested. I know you have the gains right now, but I would like to see at the end of the year what kind of gains came from all these new endeavors that you've implemented, and the fact that you're eager to make sure that everybody is involved is an attribute to your leadership, and I really appreciate that. And I'll wait to hear those end of year results just to see, and maybe we can clone that and get it out to the rest of the schools that need assistance. And so keep up the good work, and if you need anything, you Miss Ray, you let me know. You know I'll be there to assist. So good luck and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, we appreciate that.
Thank you, ladies, very much. We appreciate all of your great information and all of the good positive things going forward. Thank you all very
Yes, thank you.
much. Mr. Widener.
At this time, we're going to have a presentation. Exciting, our presentations, all of our presentations tonight directly align with the strategic plan. And so we have Ms. Salazar presenting. She's going to present a first read on the policy for a district bilingual seal. So at this time, it's my pleasure to let Ms. Lisa Salazar present.
Thank you so much, Madam President, board members, Mr. Superintendent, thank you so much. It is an exciting time for our district to offer this to our students. So the purpose of this first read is the Grant Cibola County School District and its Board of Education support the establishment of the New Mexico State Seal of Bilingualism, Biliteracy in accordance with the 6.23.3 MAC. This seal will be affixed to the New Mexico Diploma of Excellence of qualifying students, recognizes high school graduates who have achieved functional proficiency in speaking, reading, and writing in one or more languages. It highlights the importance and value of multilingual skills. The SSBB will be recorded in graduating students' transcripts. And this policy is compliant with PED. And so there are 4 different pathways to earn the state seal of bilingualism and biliteracy. GCCS has two that the students can go through at this time. And the first pathway that the student can go through, our GCCS students can go through, is certification by an individual tribe. And so they must meet the requirements set by the Pueblo tribe or nation. They must receive formal notification from the Pueblo tribe or nation confirming proficiency, and they must fulfill all New Mexico graduation requirements. That is the first pathway. The second pathway that our students can go through is an advanced assessment and alternative process portfolio. And so they need to create and present alternative process portfolio to the panel of experts to demonstrate proficiency, and they must achieve an advanced assessment score as listed as above. And so there is a timeline for our seniors. There's a process and timeline. And so by the 80th day of the school year, school level coordinators will review transcripts for required language other than English grades as applicable. The district SSBB coordinators will work with tribal language contacts to ensure Pathway 1 is on track for those students seeking an indigenous language, SSBB. Coordinators will verify assessment scores. Students are informed if portfolio is required as applicable. Parents and guardians are updated regarding their students' progress towards the SSBB. So before the end of the first semester, coordinators will meet with each candidate to review requirements and next steps. District SSBB coordinators remain in communication with Indigenous language contacts as applicable, and students and parents and guardians confirm in writing their intent to pursue the SSBB. And so as far as the alternative process portfolio, they must showcase proficiency across language domains in reading, writing, speaking, and listening. And requirements include original writing samples of a prescribed length at the target language. The work samples from current classes or interests, an oral presentation and Q&A session, a question and answer session, scored by a panel using a rubric to be created at the local level. And so there is also a portfolio timeline. And so at the start of the year, the students are informed of the portfolio requirements. By the 80th day, coordinators will provide a list of candidates to the state and federal compliance office and notify students of pending requirements. And by the end of the semester, coordinators will ensure all requirements are communicated. And spring semester, students collect and finalize portfolios, which are submitted by the state and federal compliance director's deadline. And then lastly, a panel of a minimum of 3 experts score portfolios and portfolio presentations, and results are presented at the June school board meeting. And so there is also a finalized notification process, and students and parents will receive a written notification of the outcome, including score sheets and rubric scores.
Thank you, Ms. Salazar. Appreciate that. Board members, are there any questions? As this is just the first read, we will have time to go over that more in depth later if need be. Anything for Ms. Salazar right now, though?
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
I think we need to explore the number 2 credits in advanced assessment, each earn 4 credits in a language other than. It would be interesting to find out what are the course offerings that will enable a student to get 4 credits, and that can be explored at another meeting. The Native American criteria is listed as meet the requirements set by the Pueblo tribe or nation. So my expectation is the board's expectation would be that those requirements would be discussed with each of the tribes and pueblos. So to make sure that it is feasible for students who are enrolled in those particular tribes. Thank you.
And I went so quickly, I do want to mention that this is compliant with PED, this policy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Guy. Thank you, Ms. Salazar.
Thank you.
Mr. Wagner.
That presentation aligns with goal number 4 of the strategic plan, which is engaging our diverse families and communities.
Excellent.
At this time, I've asked Mr. Jones to have a representative come and talk to us about the issuance of some bonds. And so, Mr. Jones, will you introduce our guest presenter?
Absolutely. Madam President, members of the board, it is bond issuance time. Our bond advisor, who is Kaylee, and she's on the call, she has a presentation for the board. The big questions that typically come up from this is, what does this do to our taxes? And the answer to that question is nothing, and that's why we're doing this while we're doing it. Kaylee is great to work with. Her and her team have been so helpful to me in kind of teaching me how to do all of this. And she is a customer service first type of person. So if you have any questions, please feel free to direct those to her. I have total trust in her and her team.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. Thank you, Mr. Jones, for that introduction. That's probably the nicest introduction I've ever had. I'll try not to let you down. So, in front of you tonight on your action items are a range of resolutions that allow the district to go forward with the sale of $5 million of general obligation bonds with the New Mexico Finance Authority. Ahead of those considerations, though, I do have a brief finance plan update presentation for the board that just kind of talks about what's going on in our long-term plan of finance here. So, first starting with your history of assessed valuation, we have seen a lot of strong growth within the district's boundaries. The growth includes both your residential values. This is kind of typical across the state at the moment as real estate continues to be pretty hot. We also see a lot of growth in your non-residential businesses within your community too, though. In total, your AV grew by 6.3%. Compared to last year for a total of $407 million. Your 5-year average growth rate is sitting at a little bit above 3%, and your 10-year average growth rate is sitting at 2.7%. For financial planning purposes, though, to be conservative, we project out that your AV is only going to grow by 1% year over year, just to be conservative in case that growth doesn't keep up. One thing we wanted to talk about were some of these constitutional amendments that were approved by voters this past November election. That would be Constitutional Amendment 1, which effectively widened the property exemption from disabled veterans who had to be 100% to virtually all disabled veterans prorated to the amount that they are disabled by. So in the past, you had to be 100% disabled in order to be 100% exempt from your property taxes. Constitutional Amendment 1 widened that so that a 50% disabled veteran can now qualify to be exempt for 50% of their property taxes, and so on and so forth by the rate that they are disabled by. Constitutional Amendment 2 is a little bit more straightforward. That just increased the property tax exemptions for all veterans from $4,000 up to $10,000. So this slide here really lays out how those exemptions will impact your assessed valuation. So, the values within your assessed value, within your tax base was about $601 million. But because of the exemptions such as head of household, veteran, disabled veterans, and other, your AV came out to about $407 million. Kind of an analysis of seeing how these exemptions will change once this comes onto the tax rolls. We see that your veteran exemption would increase from $2 million up to $5 million. The disabled veteran exemption would increase from about $4.5 million all the way up to $12.8 million. So in total, we're expecting that this may impact your assessed values by about $11.3 million or about 2.8%. We're not entirely sure when this will fully come onto the tax rolls. It really depends on how soon veterans file for this exemption. We could expect to see some of it come on next year and also in 2027 also. But this is just something that we're watching, and all of our future projections include these veteran exemptions also. Looking at your history of tax rates, the district has an operational tax rate, an SB 9, a 2 mil levy, and also you levy a tax rate for your general obligation bonds. For over the past 5 years, you've had a total debt service tax rate sitting at $9.76, so that your total residential tax rate continues to be $12.10. Our current plan of finance is based off of keeping your tax rates at their current levels. So the approval of tonight's bonds will not increase taxes, but rather continue to support that level tax rate. Additionally, too, looking at your current outstanding debt, the district has $16,960,000 of general obligation bonds outstanding. About half of your issuances have been sold to public markets, and the later half have been sold with the New Mexico Finance Authority. We plan on going back out to the New Mexico Finance Authority for the 2025 bond sale, really for issuance cost savings. There's a lot of extra costs associated with going out to public markets, and through going through the New Mexico Finance Authority, we're able to avoid a lot of those issuance costs. Additionally, too, you'll see that on our bar chart below how the district's debt is structured in a declining manner. That drop in debt service is what allows us to layer in future issuances without a tax rate increase. Lastly on this slide too, looking at your outstanding debt, as municipal advisors, we're always looking for potential refinancing opportunities. But seeing how, your outstanding debt has outstanding coupons that range from just 0% only up to about 3.3%, there just aren't any feasible refinancing opportunities at the time. But that's something we always look out for. For the district's overall plan of finance, the last time the district went out to voters for general obligation bonds was back in 2023. We sold $10 million of that authorization last year. We have $10 million left. Since we're about to sell $5 million, we'll have $5 million left in remaining authorization after the sale. We would be scheduled to sell the remaining $5 million of authorization in 2027 at the latest. We can move it up to 26 depending on your guys' needs. After that, we wouldn't have any authorization left, so we're scheduled to go back out to voters in 2027. The amount we're currently projecting is $12 million for that election. That amount is based off of keeping your tax rate level, but that is a figure that we refresh every year. So by the time we talk about the November 2027 election, that election amount might be a little bit different depending both on your needs, but also depending on your collections and the growth in your tax base. In the past, the district has issued education technology notes, but at the moment, oh, my apologies, that's my dog. But at the moment, we do not have an ETN tax rate leveled because the ETN is about to be paid off. Kind of moving forward, we don't plan on levying an ETN tax rate again. We're just focused on the general obligation bonds. The last thing to bring to your attention on this slide is that the district's legal bonding capacity. So state statute allows districts to bond up to 6% of their assessed valuation. 6% of your 2024 AV is about $24 million. Because we only have about 16 million outstanding, we still have $7.5 million left in legal bonding capacity, but we don't issue that full $7.5 million because of the tax rate constraint. This is just an overview of your election timing. Again, we have a while until we go back out for geo voters, but that's something we like to keep an eye out for. Here's just a timeline of the sale. So again, tonight the board is looking at approving the sale with the New Mexico Finance Authority. Then towards the end of April, we will approve the sale with the New Mexico Finance Authority's board. A couple days after that, we'll set rates with the New Mexico Finance Authority, and then closing is scheduled to be on May 23rd, which is when funds will be available for the district to spend on voter authorized projects. I do have a market update in the back, but I'll pause there and see if anyone has any questions for me about either the 2025 bond sale or the district's wider plan of finance.
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
you mentioned that we could consider acting before 2027. Am I correct? I don't have your visual up. Let me see. Hold on.
That is correct. So of the 20 million that we voted on in 2023, we have 10 million left to issue. We are proposing to issue 5 million today or this year. We could also issue 5 million next year, depending on our needs and how that influences the tax rate. So that would be a year before 2027.
Okay. You said voter approved projects, if I remember your last statement.
Mhm.
Summarize what they were.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have the ballot question in front of me, but essentially on the ballot, voters approved a question that basically said, can Grant Cibola County Schools have $10 million, or sorry, $20 million for multiple things such as capital improvement, district-wide improvements, etc. To be frank, on the ballot, we do keep the question extremely vague and kind of open-ended to give the district the flexibility. I know that Cooper has a better grasp on the projects that the 2025 bonds will be spent on, though.
Correct, and I'm happy to fill in. So part of that is on the ballot also includes student computer hardware and software. So the bond is money that is available to us that we could use for Chromebooks or smart boards. Tonight, there's a presentation on updating our security system, which is a facilities improvement. And all of those are examples of expenses that the bond allows us to do for those things. And the best examples really are Blue Water Elementary School and Mesa View Elementary School. Those are projects that we pay for with operational money, and then we do a drawdown on those bonds so that we can continue operating with our operational money and not having that tied up in capital projects.
I can actually read exactly what it was. I just looked it up. The general bond question was Grant Cibola County School District asked for 20 million to update and furnish schools along with purchasing modern computer software. And it says voters overwhelmingly supported this measure with 75% of the vote being yay.
That didn't include Mount Taylor construction.
Yeah, so Mount Taylor was part of the original plan that was put out by the district to use bond money. And Kaylee can touch on this as well. The school district has 5 years to spend that money. So part of the original election, in the life cycle of this bond issuance, we will likely pay for the design of Mesa View and probably some of the, or Mount Taylor, thank you. Mount Taylor and some of the work. A lot of that is kind of dependent on PSFA and how they rank our schools. And that's why we have some flexibility on the years that we have to spend this money.
Okay, between now and May, we can have a presentation of all of the proposed and tentative projects that we are considering for these funds. So that would give us a better picture of how we're gonna use the funds. Give a better picture to the public how we're gonna use the funds.
Part of that'll be
Okay.
tonight.
Kaylee, was it Kaylee?
Yes, Kaylee.
Kaylee, Cibola County is like one of the biggest counties that has veterans. Have you guys done a little study of how many veterans do qualify, if they do, and how much would be affected?
Yeah, absolutely. So most recent data shows that the district has 449 veterans and 120 disabled veterans within your specific boundaries. So again, the total impact we're expecting is that it could drop your AV by about $11,316,000, or about by 2.8%. So that is something we're definitely taking into account, as we go forward with this bond sale.
I mean, this is a good thing, I'm not against that, but I just wondered how it affect our income as it's coming in, cause I was a commissioner at one time and we found out that Cibola County had the most veterans in the state.
Wow, okay. I can get back to you about like a specific dollar amount and kind of calculate the difference, or I guess the foregone revenue the district would not see because of the new veterans exemption. Yeah, I can calculate that and get that to you after
Okay.
this meeting here.
Board members, anything else for Kaylee right now?
Thanks.
Kaylee, thank you so much for being here tonight to give us this information.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you guys for your time and your consideration. I will stay on the call in case there's any questions that come up when you guys get over to the action items.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Mr. White?
And board members, just a reminder that that presentation kind of targets goal number 3, which is safe and inclusive schools. We want our students attending safe and inclusive schools, so that's where the money would be going. We are very fortunate tonight to have another presentation that aligns with safe and inclusive schools. We have 2 gentlemen here from our technology department that are going to talk about the fiber upgrades at Grants High School and Laguna Acoma High School. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to turn the floor over to Mr. Isaac Tafoya and Scott Peak.
Thank you, Madam President, Superintendent, thank you for that. Members of the board, directors, I'm happy to bring this presentation and bring it back to light. I want to start off with giving you guys a little context about this situation. In previous years, we've upgraded the WAN, which is our network from the schools to the data center with fiber optics. All schools are fed by fiber optics at this point, which are capable of backhauling that data at a 10 gigabit speed if needed. You know, some of our schools are already running on that bandwidth, others are scaled down to a gig, but only because they're smaller schools and further out. But to wrap that up, E-rate, this was brought to my attention last year when I started taking over the E-rate account. And we had $34,000 left unutilized in a 22 budget. So with that bucket still holding some money, I was like, it was a category 2 budget, which is involving switches, access points, any kind of physical media like fiber optics. And I knew we had a need in the high school, so I asked, can we get that, money still and utilize that? So I applied on the district's behalf for that fund to be reallocated to 24. And it was approved, it was brought in, so we started planning and putting out to bid the project for the fiber upgrade at the high schools. We just started with the high schools. Of course, there's other schools that still need it, the ones that haven't gotten rebuilt yet. But we started at the high schools and went out to bid. BLCM won that bid. And so E-rate's now telling me that that budget has been pulled back just a little bit due to budget constraints. That fund is now $29,000, but it's still going to cover a good portion of this project. The total cost of this project is going to be about $148,000. E-rate's going to cover a fifth of that, so that's great. Little is better than nothing, right? And of course, we have a deadline with this project, which is going to be this year. We're still all ahead of it, so September 30th will be the deadline if we don't get this project started. We'll lose that little bit of money to, which I would like to put into this fiber project. So without further ado, I brought Scott here, and since he doesn't want to just be a pretty face to, stand by my side and work on this, I'm going to hand him over some of the benefits of this upgrade and let him speak on the benefits of this upgrade. And so, yeah, go ahead and take it away, Scott.
All right, just kind of bear with me. I'm very nervous over here. All right,
No,
palms are
don't
very
be
sweaty.
nervous.
I wish
We're
I
all
had some
friends.
spaghetti, but so to kind of go over some of the benefits there, as like Isaac there said, there is we have fiber ran to all of our schools there. In this county, we're talking about the high schools, Grants High and Laguna Acoma. Their fiber has been in there since the school was built. It's becoming very aged, very old, inadequate now. It also has a cap on it for only being like 1 gig on that fiber cable, which is posing some issues with our guest networks because our students will connect to the guest network on their cell phones or personal devices, or parents during games and stuff like that. We're seeing that's kind of bottlenecking down on our fiber there of how much we can have going through there. Same with like the cameras and the amount of networking devices that we're bringing here. So with the benefit of the upgrade of getting this fiber there replaced, is that we're bringing a cap of a 1 gig up to a 10 gig, which is going to really open up the, kind of put in like a mind perspective there, is that basically we got like a 2-lane system highway right now at our schools. We're basically building it into a 10-lane highway.
Nice.
Alright, but that's not all it's capable of. Right now, it'll be capable of up to the 10 gigs there with our current infrastructure on the back end there. But 10, 15 years later, if we need to move any further up, that fiber is able to upgrade up to 40 gigs. Yeah, and it's really going to be kind of future-proofing our stuff there, as the new fiber there will have a lifespan for up to 25 years.
Very good.
So that's just some of the benefits there. I just kind of wanted to keep it a little bit short and simple there, but if you want me to keep continuing, I'll go all night, but.
To some of that, you know, the most recent upgrade to our switching and wireless, we got the network up to being able and capable of pushing 10 gigs on the LAN, on the local networks inside the schools. And the new Wi-Fi 6 that's already being utilized at every site actually. It's Wi-Fi 6 is multi-gig capable wireless. So in order to fully see the potential there, we have to have every piece, you know, accounted for. We have the switching, we have the routing, we have the backhaul from the WAN to the data center. Now we just need the LAN, the closet to closet connections, like you said, 20+ years old at this point, and they're only capable of a gigabyte. And they can, you know, spurt just past that a little bit, but they're not really feasible to push Wi-Fi 6, which we're doing in our high school with 70-some access points at the high school. So that's gonna be a big benefit. We're gonna see some of that congestion come down when this gets in place. So I'm excited about this. I put together a high-level timeline with this. As of course, we don't have a start or end dates at this point. They're yet to be determined, but we're aiming for a summer project. We want this to be a summer project. If it doesn't happen because it's a first come, first serve deal with VLCM, if we don't get on their schedule for the summer, they are very well versed in doing this kind of work while school's in session. They have let me know that. So if we miss the summer, no worries, we can make this happen during the school year. But approximately 1 month to complete the high schools, both of them, not including the planning on ordering materials and waiting for that to come in. That could take a couple weeks, they said, after the PO is cut. So goal is to get this project scheduled in June, and I hope that it's supported because it's highly needed in the high schools. That's where most of our traffic is happening right now. So that's our presentation with the fiber upgrade project. Is there any questions?
Board members, do you have questions for Mr. Tafoya or Mr. Peters?
Thank you, Isaac, for your presentation. And I wondered about the E-rate. Are we recovering all the costs like we did in the past for the money spent there within the district and being reimbursed by E-rate, or or because of the budget constraints, you're saying that they're not paying back 100%?
I believe because this was some unutilized funds in an old budget, it was just reallocated and given back to us to use this year. But that will be the support they offer. They won't be reimbursing us for the rest of the project. That will be on the district's dime. And I guess in order to get reimbursements, we would have to, I guess, spend the money that they've allocated us. And if we spend the money, say they give us $1 million and we spend $1 million of our own money, we could then apply for reimbursements on those things. Like our future coming up is another upgrade for category 2. And that will be something in that nature where we'll see some reimbursements if we put money towards it.
And so are we continuing to submit our expense or pay, I guess, our bill in a timely manner now? I think at one point in time, we weren't paying for the services, and therefore we weren't getting the reimbursement in a timely manner. So I'm just hoping that you've cut out that kind of stall in the redistribution that we've paid.
Yes, ma'am. That I believe has been addressed and taken care of. We're actually in the middle of a category 1 refresh for services, internet services, WAN services, and all of that's being negotiated and bidded out right now to our, which actually we just gave some awards out to the ISPs that are helping us manage our wide area network and our internet access.
Okay, thank you.
And yes, those issues have been addressed. Any other questions?
Board members,
Excuse
anything else? Go ahead, Guy.
You were talking about guest networks. You might explain that to the audience, what that means.
Yeah, sure.
So the guest network there is a wireless type of signal that the public can attach to and be able to use our internet and net there to suffice on their personal devices, such as like a cell phone. So take example for like Laguna Acoma. They have very bad cell services out there where they live, right? You got hit, miss, signals up and down throughout the school building. So students will connect to the guest signal there to be able to use their two-step verification there for their NMSU classes, or to be able to make a call or send a text there if an emergency happens or anything like that. They can attach to our guest Wi-Fi to be able to perform those types of things.
Right, they're using the Wi-Fi calling, I believe,
Yes.
your phone attaches to. And that's where we were seeing a lot of congestion at the Grants High School, is when that guest network was in full blown mode, and even some of the Chromebooks and smart boards that were being brought to our attention that were not on the network were getting attached to the open guest network, which caused some issues, and we just seen a lot of congestion there. So we want to be able to make our guest network a little bit more robust and usable, and this is gonna be something that's gonna help us drive, more speed to the guest networks. Right now, I throttle the guest network down pretty good,
Yeah.
just so that we can control some and dedicate some of that bandwidth to the internal needs. So yes, the guest network will be a big improvement with this as well.
Another question, have you already begun making use of Wi-Fi 6?
Yes.
Yes, so we're currently, I'm planning for Wi-Fi 7. But that's still some years to come
He's
in the
always a
future.
step ahead of me, yep.
But so far, Blue Water's the closest.
Yep.
But
Blue Water and Los Alamitos, any new schools that have been previously built have the capabilities on their local network to push those kinds of speeds, and we're seeing the true Wi-Fi 6 capabilities at those sites. The sites that we're not seeing that capability are sites like Grants High School, where we do see a lot of congestion issues, and they are the biggest school. They have the most access points, the most users, the most devices on that network. So it's imperative that we get this network upgraded to the latest and greatest fiber optics.
yeah, and I believe that Grants High, we just have one access point that does not offer Wi-Fi.
Right.
But as in the old gym.
Right, and it will be replaced.
Yes, it is on the plan of getting upgraded.
Cool.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate what you do. Good presentation. And you're always on the cutting edge, and that's what we like to see.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
All right, board members, I'm gonna let everybody know that it is starting to snow. And so I'm going to ask our presentations to move a little speedily, just so we can try to get through these, because we do have quite a bit. And I don't know the protocol on this one, but we might think about moving action items up if we start looking at getting too much snow, so that we can do this in a timely way.
And the consent agenda.
Correct. So
It's your pleasure.
thank you, I appreciate that. So right now, while we have VLCM fiber upgrade, and we have learned all about this, board members, I would like to go ahead and ask for consideration of approval of the VLCM fiber upgrade at Grants and Laguna Acoma High Schools in the amount of $148,210.54. Superintendent Widener.
This came to the Finance Committee last week, and the Finance Committee voted to bring
We
this,
did not vote.
well,
That is incorrect. No
Recommended.
action. Thank you.
recommended to bring this to the board
Thank you.
for action.
Yes, because we can't have action without the whole board present, sir. All right, board members, is there a motion to approve the VLCM fiber upgrade at Grants High School and Laguna Acoma High School in the amount of $148,210.54?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Mr. Jaramillo and seconded by Ms. Hunt Daly to approve the VLCM fiber upgrade at Grants High School and Laguna Acoma High School in the amount of $148,210.54. Board members, is there any discussion?
As just, as they were saying, consider this will be cut off the,
That's how that works.
the
E-rate.
State
E-rate.
that properly.
They will cover the rest, right? So E-rate will cover some of this and then we'll carry whatever is,
Yes.
carries
Yes.
over.
At the, in order to check for the 148,000, we will get reimbursed for that 29 that's left in that bucket. That's how that works. If I didn't state that clearly enough. So, all right.
Thank you. Anything else, board members?
A little thing we might consider, is this going to, because we're increasing the connectivity, is this going to create a headache for our teachers in the classroom with our students being able to log in, even though there's not supposed to be cell phones in the classroom? But we know that that's not, that there's cell phones, irregardless of whether it's banned or not. I'm wondering, Isaac, is that going to increase their connectivity for those students?
Increasing their connectivity with their cell phones is your question?
Yes.
Only in a, like in the school like Laguna, like Scott had mentioned, where there's no cell service out there, it's gonna definitely improve their connection out there and let them be able to ride over the guest network with Wi-Fi calling, yes. But it'll eliminate other headaches that the teachers are already dealing with day to day with the congestions that they're seeing and problems on that level. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you might warn our teachers ahead of time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else, board?
One last thing, I'm trying to recollect what we discussed in the audit report. There were some findings that relative to making sure that we have all the documentation that is required for the board to make to approve proposed expenditures. Were we to have a requisition already prepared and available to review? I can't remember what Mr. Manning had said about that.
Mr. Jones?
We do not. So after the board has voted and we have an approval, that requisition process will start first thing tomorrow morning.
What I would suggest is I think we used to have a single sheet that we would look at and it would identify all the specific elements of a proposed purchase that would include the amount and the sources of funds available. We may need to constitute that in subsequent meetings, and I'd be happy to talk with you guys at a later meeting, at a later time. Thank you.
Last call, anything further? I shouldn't make fun of that. I just, oh, anyway, pardon me.
Forgot, we're supposed to.
Apologies, no, I apologize for I was trying to be funny and it fell very flat. My apology for that, board members. All right.
Felt all right.
Thank you. Hearing none, we shall proceed to a roll call vote. Mrs. Sandoval, please.
Dr. Shambo,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt Daly,
Yes.
Mr. Hadamiel,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Aye, the motion carries. While we have our two ladies on the line regarding the bond, the action item is consider for adoption resolutions authorizing the sale of general obligation bonds and approving an application to the New Mexico Finance Authority for financial assistance. Superintendent Widener, is there a recommendation for approval of the adoption resolutions authorizing the sale of general obligation bonds?
This also can be the finance committee, and it was the recommendation to bring this to the board, so.
All right. Board members, is there a motion to approve the adoption resolutions authorizing the sale of general obligation bonds and approving an application to the New Mexico Finance Authority for financial assistance?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. It has been moved by Mr. Jaramillo and seconded by Dr. Archambault to approve the adoption resolutions authorizing the sale of general obligation bonds and approving an application to the New Mexico Finance Authority for financial assistance. Board members, is there any discussion?
None.
Hearing none, we shall proceed to a roll call vote. Mrs. Sandoval, please.
Dr. Shambo,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt Daly,
Yes.
Mr. Hadamiel,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Aye, the motion carries. Board members, we're gonna try and get back on track here. And Mr. Widener, what is our next presentation, sir?
Our next presentation also aligns with the strategic plan goal of safe and inclusive schools, goal number 3. We have Mr. Tafoya still remaining at the lectern. He's going to speak to us about smart board refreshes throughout the district.
Yes, thank you again for this opportunity, and I'll try to be as quick as I can with this one. Let's see. So we all started rolling out smart boards in 2018. We got the first couple, but our big rollout happened in 2020. And in, over the years, we've been purchasing small waves since then. And now that these things have aged 5+ years, we're seeing a lot of them are getting to the point where they're end of life, they're unsupported. They no longer could get Windows updates to get them up to Windows 11 or the latest security patches. We're having a lot of Wi-Fi issues out there, especially with that first big wave antennas. They're not capable of Wi-Fi 6, so they struggle to communicate on that channel, or they connect, they do their thing, but they're having a lot of issues in the Wi-Fi area. And again, not able to upgrade to Windows 11, so that's one of the biggest factors that we need to start moving away from them. Most recent purchases that are in some of our admin areas, those ones will probably still have a little life in them. But we do have a plan. And so let me speak a little bit on this smart board. We've done a evaluation of at least 3 of them. I believe there was a 4th one in there, but I can't think of the name. So we did evaluate Promethean, which was the leaders in this board industry for a long time. I really didn't think they were going to get beat, but one screen is pretty awesome, and I'll talk about it. ViewSonic was one of the other ones, and yeah, this new board that we evaluated has some really awesome new software that's geared towards the classroom, focused on instruction. And one of the cool things that I can talk about that I've seen in action twice now was the transcribe. The teacher gets in front of the room, in front of the board, she's giving an instruction and a presentation. And this thing can transcribe every word that she's saying. They can turn it off or they can put it up on the screen and even change it to a different language. If you have a student that's bilingual in that classroom, they can read the instruction along with her. Then at the end, press the button to create a quiz and boom, that transcript gets compiled into a quiz of your choice, multiple choice, true and false, fill in the blank, and it just populates a really cool quiz based on the instruction given, and she could still go in there or he and tailor that quiz to their liking, which is a very, big time saver and very productive for our teachers. I can see that being highly utilized. They're Wi-Fi 6 capable. Android OS, familiarity and friendliness with the operating system that they're gonna be interacting with. Easily integrates all of our Google Suite and tools that we use in the district, so that's not gonna be a problem. And like with the previous boards, they have an Android OS, but we have no way of managing it or securing it or locking it down. This one comes with integrated MDM, which is gonna help us manage that Android operating system, push those applications they need, and be a lot more functional for the IT team. And close down those security vulnerabilities that other method presents without that control. Now, accessibility and screen sharing capabilities, it's huge in that area, super easy compared to what we're used to. And the built-in safety features, Mr. Whiter mentioned something about this gearing towards safety. These things come with a key fob that they can sign into these boards with, or we can attach it to certain systems, and if they press that button 2 times, I believe, or 3, it could send a signal to the front office that there's an emergency in this room and get somebody there ASAP. And we would like to, introduce that to the district and connect and configure that feature. That's pretty awesome. The cost on this project, one screen is gonna be about 1/3 of the cost, comparing it to our previous, over those 3 big waves. And I think that's another huge thing to mention. Of course, we're gonna have to beat our pre-tariff prices that we got in these quotes. But old inventory, that comes down to the end of this. What do we do with the old inventory, you might ask? We have multiple ideas here. We could do donations for the ones that are really functional still and don't have failures in the touch screens. Just needs a computer replacement on the back. Those computers live on the back, so we could donate them to private schools that can still utilize them and purchase a machine to attach to it or a Chromebox. Others, can be done in auctions, getting rid of some of these to the public. If somebody wants to repurpose one and buy it for $100, I think that would be a good option. Or we recycle the rest that we can't repurpose because they have so many issues. And that takes me to the end of the presentation for the one screen. I hope I was detailed enough, and I hope that brings to your attention that this is also another very needed and upgrade. I'm excited to see this one implemented. I know our teachers and staff are gonna love these ones.
Board members, questions?
I'm sorry, Isaac, what did you say? How many boards are we replacing?
I believe we're gonna be replacing around 300 boards.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's gonna cost us about 1/3 of what it costs to buy all 300 of those boards.
And are we going to provide training to the
Yes.
teachers?
Yes, and I believe this solution comes with training included. They're gonna be very, involved in that. They live out of Albuquerque, so they're gonna be very accessible to us, this team. And I do look forward to that because, I've been in one of the trainings or 2 actually. I've done 2 demos and it's very informative and awesome. So I can't wait to bring this to the district.
Can you include the board members in that training?
We sure can. Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Yes, thank you for the questions. Any other questions that I might be able to fill in?
Board members?
Is there a time frame to stay on this quote, for this quote that you gave us
Today.
for tariffs? Yeah.
I would say so, because that would be the thing, is to try to beat these tariffs, and I know they're underway right now, so. And I believe if we get a PO cut soon, that would be something that they would probably honor the price they've already given us.
Thank you for your presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you have listed here, Guy, did you have a question? Sir, I'm sorry.
How are you gonna go about deciding who, you talked about giving donating them to private schools. Do you have a process that you were thinking about?
Not one set in stone, we brainstormed about it, and we do have a few private schools in our area that might be able to utilize, a couple of these boards. But I don't have a process written in stone yet, but
Is that,
on that.
sometimes when we are going to, when we have, like pickups, trucks and things like that, that no longer are used or some other things, we then would, announce and bids, or I can't remember how it worked out. We would have to have a process that is open to others. I didn't know we could specifically focus on just private schools.
So, Dr. Ashambo, if I can fill in for Isaac, when we say private schools, we talk about our local schools like Haku and St. Joe's and St. Teresa, as we already have some partnerships with them and support them with some of their technology needs with Chromebooks. That's where we would look first and assess those needs and give as many of them that are functional away. There's also a small portion of devices. Mr. Widener's smartboard is only a year old and it's totally functional. There's kind of no sense in replacing that, but it's important to note that all of our staff that is doing instruction, all of our teachers, they will all have this new board with this new software. The lingering Sharp devices, which are almost 3 times the cost of these, will live in our administrative offices because we want to use them as long as we can.
Which schools are gonna get them?
Which schools are gonna get are you asking about the new boards, sir?
She's interpreting Guy Ashambo's dialect.
Every school in our district will get new smartboards.
Yes.
300, 900? Am I looking at the right thing?
307 boards is what we're ordering in this wave, and that is a perfect one-to-one replacement for what we have in teachers' classrooms to date.
Thank you. Nothing else.
Thank you. And just to clarify for the entire board, this pricing is pretty much now, because if we linger on this, these prices aren't guaranteed because of tariffs. And can you explain that a little better?
The commentary on smart boards is that 100% of smart boards in the United States come out of either China or Vietnam. A lot of these companies are in the process of moving operations from China to Vietnam to avoid some tariff percentage. It is in the technology world right now, so the security cameras that we're talking about, the smart boards, the printers, tomorrow everything goes up 20 to 25% in anticipation for those increased tariffs to ship here. Because these companies, they push it to the consumer, and that's us in this case. So this price that we have, it terms out at midnight tonight, basically.
Thank you for that clarification. Board members, anything else? Any other questions on this? All right, I'm going to ask us again, as I'm watching the weather out the window, to move to action item C, consideration of approval of a Grant Cibola County Schools Smart Board refresh in the amount of $1,029,012.96. Superintendent Widener.
Again, this came to the finance committee last week. there is some timeliness on it that is pushing this. And so the Finance Committee recommended to bring this to the full board.
Is there a motion to approve the grants? Thank you, Mr. Widener, very much. Is there a motion to approve the grants Cibola County Schools Smart Board Refresh in the amount of $1,029,012.96?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Mr. Jaramillo and seconded by Dr. Archambault to approve the grant Cibola County Schools Smart Board Refresh in the amount of $1,029,012.96. Board members, is there any discussion? All right, hearing none, we shall proceed to a roll call vote. Mrs. Sandoval, please.
Dr. Shambo,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt Daly,
Yes.
Mr. Jaramillo,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Aye, the motion carries. Next is a big one. Mr. Widener.
It's a big one, but it's an important one. It very much aligns very closely with safe and inclusive schools, goal number 3. I've asked Mr. Hawker, he talked to us at our last regular board meeting about school safety. We've had several severe acts of vandalism since his last presentation, and so this is an important system that opportunity for a system that we have. I've asked Mr. Hawker, Mr. Tafoya, and Mr. Jones to kind of present about this safety feature.
Good evening, Superintendent. Thank you for that. President Lee, Ms. Hunt Daly, Dr. Archambault, Mr. Jaramillo. This is the second time in 2 weeks I've had the opportunity to come here. And this is something that is highly important. I think there's a lot to be said, but I want to get into it when Ms. Ray said that she had about 7 minutes, and then Ms. Lee said the snow is falling. I figure I have about 3 minutes. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you an update. I believe sometime around 2023, there was a presentation made for an additional camera system through DriftNet, which was going to afford the district some additional protections. When you look at security, it's a layered system, and you want to add pieces to that. And so that was the thought process with the original presentation of that DriftNet system. And so to give you an update for that DriftNet system, DriftNet's a bust. They did not follow through with their agreement on that. And so other avenues began to be pursued as far as what we could do to enhance our camera system. And the reason why we were so adamant about enhancing our camera system is because of the fact that our principals were highly excited about what we were going to be able to bring to the district. If you do a quick Google search about trends in schools across the United States of America, you're going to find 2 things that pop up. One is substance abuse, and the other is acts of violence. And every principal in our school district desperately wants to minimize substance abuse and acts of violence. And one of the best tools that we have for that, obviously, is our personnel and our staff and our people that are at the school. But we need help with that. And that help comes in the form of, number one, a good working camera system that is going to give you coverage of the interior and exterior of your schools. To date, not all of our schools have interior cameras. Our schools that have exterior cameras do not all work. The company that we have looked into a partnership with, Verkada, is going to give us interior and exterior views of all of our schools. And so what that's going to do is it's going to put on one platform the ability to see the inside and the outside of our schools when there's an incident, when something happens. we were able to respond to that. Superintendent Widener mentioned, we just had 2 acts of vandalism, one at Grants High School, one at Mount Taylor. The unfortunate part is, they both happened at night. Trying to identify faces and people and all those kinds of things, it makes it extremely difficult. The current camera system that we have, not able to do that. And so being able to have a camera system that we can get information to the authorities that, hey, here's what it is, here's a good still shot of the suspects of it so that they can go and do justice for our school. Because when people do that, that is an assault on our educational system, that is an assault on our students, that's an assault on our staff. And we want to be able to make sure that people know that we are protecting our staff and our students. Along with a camera system, we're not just talking about Ring doorbells. We're not just talking about something that's just going to be able to say, oh yeah, we can see things. This is a layered system that we're going to be getting in. One of those things is that we're going to have, I believe it's 97 vape detectors that will be installed in our upper grades in the elementaries, at the junior high, and in the high school. What that's going to do is help minimize the amount of substance abuse that is happening. One statistic I came across, 12.6% of all students across the United States of America have used substance at some point in time at school. The sad thing is that statistic came from 2019, 2020. That number is much higher today. And so what Verkada is going to offer is vape sensors that are connected to our camera system that are going to help us in identifying those people so that we can, not so much a gotcha, not so that we can bring them in and we can get people suspended. It's so that we can, number one, get these young people the help that they need. We can get them into programs, whatever it is they need to do, but also so that students know that our bathrooms and our hallways and our, they're not places to vape, that our schools are a place for education. Along with that layered system, what Verkada offers is visitor management. Right now, if you were to go to some of our schools, one school you might sign in on paper. Another school you might show your ID and they're gonna look at it and they're gonna check you in. Another school, they might just say, hey, how are you? Grab your kid and bring them out and just send you on your way. We want a unified plan for our visitor management. When people come to our school, they're gonna check in and check out the same way at Mesa View as they do at Los Alamitos, as they do at Laguna Acoma. We will have a unified visitor management system. What that's also going to do is that has the ability to scan driver's licenses through the National Sex Offender Database. And so people who should not be in our schools, who should not be accessing our students, will not be allowed access to that. That's another layer of security that is going to offer us. DriftNet had a similar platform with some of these things. One thing that Verkada is offering in this that DriftNet did not is access control. That's our doors. When you badge in and you badge out, I believe right now after the walkthrough we did, I believe there are 72 doors that we are looking at giving access control to. So that helps us to keep our schools more secure, gives our teachers better access in and out of the facilities and the buildings that they need to get into, and again, secures our staff and our students and gives us a better opportunity to educate them. The thing that in talking with Verkada is I mentioned to them that, the last company we went through, they were at a distance and, in Chicago, it was hard to get people here. And so when they made the presentations, it was important for them. They showed up twice in person to make presentations. Not only did they show up twice, but the company that they work with, A&M, they drove from Denver, Colorado to be here to walk our schools to help us make those assessments. And that's on their dime, not ours. On top of that, we were curious about how well does that system work? What does that offer? I believe within 2 days, 3 days, IT received 2 cameras that they've already put up, our IT put up. They're already up and running. I was watching snowfall in Blue Water while you guys were having your meeting. This here is on a tablet. This is something Verkada sent us. This is mobile. What this means is that our principals, our superintendent, whatever personnel that we authorize to have access to these cameras, they can now see what's going on their campuses. If we have snow days or things like that, we're able to look at our campuses and assess what's going on in Laguna Acoma, what's going on in Cibola, and we can be anywhere. This can be put on a phone, this can be put on a tablet, anything that, any device that we authorize for that, that's something else that they offer that you're not gonna see everywhere else. This is something that's gonna be huge. That's gonna help us when we have break-ins, when we have those incidents, our principals and people can immediately begin to get onto those things and start to look at that. And so that's just some of the things that Verkada offers. Not only that, I'm pretty sure the big question is, well, if we, got involved with DriftNet and what is the cost and what happened with the money with that? There is already a plan in place to receive remuneration that Verkada is going to do so that we can help get that system up and running. This is something that I am really excited about. I believe it's going to help us immensely. I believe it's going to do a lot of great things for our students. And when I talked last time, we spoke about ownership, that our board and our superintendent, we as individuals have to own this. And something happened today that I want to share with you before I turn over to Isaac. He's going to speak on a few of the IT pieces. There was a young man at Grants High School today. I was a little concerned because I looked at his arm and it looked like he had to climb through barbed wire just to get to school. This young man had cut himself and different things. There were some issues that were going on. And so I just kind of talked with him, asked how he was going, how he was doing, if everything was okay. And he said, yeah, I'm doing all right. Just kind of have a headache. I'm drinking some water. And I said, okay. I said, everything's good though. And he said, yeah. I said, notice what's going on. He said, yeah, just got a lot going on at home. And I said, do you have somebody you can talk to? This young man, without missing a beat, looked me right in the eyes and he said, I have you, Mr. Hawker. You know what that tells me? Those kids are looking to us. We're their hope. The decisions that we make here in this room are what give those young people hope that they have a future to get an education, to go somewhere and to do something. That's what this security system is protecting. And that's all I have. If there's questions, I'm gonna let Isaac talk and then maybe we can address any of those afterwards.
Sounds great. I can add a little bit to what he talked about with regard to the cameras. 4K resolution, huge with the upgrades that are coming. It's got AI living behind the scenes. We can literally do an AI search on these things and it has facial recognition. So if it sees somebody on campus that you've flagged and said, hey, this person should not be on the campus, you can set up notifications on these things to shoot you an email when that person shows up on any one of your cameras throughout the entire district. Same thing with, say, those vandalisms that happened the other day. This detection, not just facial, it probably follows your movement and can actually flag that person. I could pull up multiple videos where I've got that same face in the recent week. And so it's gonna be a huge tool that lives in the behind the scenes, the AI piece. Other huge benefits for the technology department is, like he spoke on, giving access control to principals and staff, that are gonna be using these apps on their smartphones. We can turn on single sign-on with our Google accounts easily with this platform and use our Google account and sign in automatically without having to save another password. That's gonna be a huge play, out of this solution. Verkada also being a cloud solution, their servers live in the cloud. They're not on our network locally like our current system is. Those servers that are out in the sites, we're gonna be able to remove like 12 different servers that are out there running our current system, which are old, archaic. Every time we need access to a video, we find out that hard drive is full or it's not recording because of something that was mishappened. We don't manage those. Those are managed outside of our realm of technology, our department. They're managed through ACOM. And that's another security vulnerability on our network that we need to close that door and fully own this network within our internal teams again. Because that's gonna be one of the biggest things, eliminating that extra data that's flowing on the network internally. These cameras come with local storage that they can store videos even when the internet is not there, and then send it to the cloud if the internet comes back, which is gonna be rare with a network that's up most of the time. So even in those times, you have options that are capable of saving bandwidth on the network, but sending that stuff to the cloud for archiving, which we will have 30-day retention, or if we want more than that, we can actually pay for more retention on that stuff. So those are a huge couple points that I can point out on this system. I'm sure there's many more I could speak on, but I'm gonna leave it at that and and hand it back over to Jeremy.
Mr. Jones, I don't know if you
Or
want to speak on the
questions.
budgetary part or.
All right.
Yeah, let me stand up just for a quick second. Madam President, members of the board, I don't know if you caught that, but Verkada is going to credit us the money that we would have spent on DriftNet. In addition to that, they are giving us a 31% discount on all of the hardware and software. All of the hardware has a 10-year warranty on it. What that means is if we have a camera that gets hit by a ball in the gym, Verkada is paying for that camera to be replaced, and they will not replace it with the same camera, but the newest and upgraded version of that camera for 10 years. So if you look at this cost, it's a big cost. This is one of those projects that will be paid out of our 2025 bond, if approved. And this is something that over 10 years will save the district significant money, because we are no longer paying somebody to drive from Albuquerque to here to fix our door control, because it's something that they have empowered our team to take care of, and they warranty everything. So this, and I'll stress this as well, this system is tailored to our school district. They walked with our security coordinator, and them having experience in this space as well, said, we need cameras here and we need cameras here, and we should have a camera that can catch all of the license plates in the front of the building. And, we should put vape detectors here and all of those things. So this is something that our system is like no other system, because it's ours. And it goes back to that ownership thing. And again, the user friendliness is really, really impressive, where not just facial recognition, but you can track like black boots or red backpack or blue hat, where if you had somebody that was a troublemaker, that you could identify them and you could track them through your school and so it's just this huge safety thing, where we can have these tools so that our focus doesn't need to be on, let's get this footage and let's discipline. It's one of those things that it's going to be so powerful, hopefully we never have to use it for all of that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
Traffic pathways of the most traffic in that area, they're really amazing.
Board members, questions?
The only comment I have to say is that it's a deterrent. If students know that they've got all this stuff around them, they'll at least walk a straight line for 6 or 8 hours.
Yeah.
That they're among us, and it'll be safe for the other students around them, including the staff.
And the beautiful thing about this is, as Cooper mentioned, this is 10 years. So this decision we make tonight is gonna provide securities into 2035. And I think that's something that's huge, because the upgrades and the updates and the technology are only gonna get better, which means that our security is only gonna get better, and that's the legacy we can leave behind, when we move on or whatever, is that we have created that secure environment by utilizing this.
Well, the thing that's scary is that AI, say, hey, let's go tag the school, or let's go bust some windows, and then all of a sudden you come to school and it says, hey, this was the guy that was here last night. That's pretty good.
Board members, questions?
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to watch the snowfall at my house here. When I purchase a car, brand new one, and they tell me that this is the best price, that before the tariff comes in, that you better get it, and then ask them, well, what are the features of this vehicle? What can it do? So he has to pull out a sheet that tells me exactly what this vehicle is going to do. And I don't see that. I hear a lot of verbal statements about all the things that it can do. I get a little nervous, given what we had experienced within the last year or so, when we bought something and it didn't work. So I'm looking on the board packet, trying to find a description of all the things that this new system can do, and that we expect it to do that. So maybe there's something besides just the quote. The quote only gives us the items we're purchasing.
Dr. Archambault,
So maybe there's
there
something
was a
missing.
whole packet, you know, about the proposal from Verkada in there.
Try and
And
find it.
then not only was there the quote, but the presentation has maps of all of the schools.
That's what I
um,
thought.
Terms,
What's it called?
conditions, everything.
Is it called the QT 00091537 quote?
Was that what it was called? Do you know, Mr. Jones?
The presentation came from Ron Triplehorn.
Board.
Do you know what it's called though?
I have it here.
No, I know, but
I
it was,
saw it a while ago, but I don't know where it's at.
let me see if I can.
Somebody find it right away.
So Dr. Archambault, while they're looking at that, I can just reiterate that one of the things that we do have included in there is that what that Verkada system includes is cameras, an intercom system, the visitor management system, and the access control. And so with all that, obviously, your cameras are your visual protection that give you real-time information to be able to look at things or go back and view video. Your intercom helps us with that alert system to be able to communicate. Our visitor management system is our guest tracking system. And then the access control is the badges for access to the doors and all of that. And that is going to be installed across the entire district for all of our schools, elementary, junior high, and high school. And so
I'm still scrolling through that. I don't
Yes.
mind having you all verbally describe it. I like to see things that we're gonna purchase $1 million, that we actually have the features that.
0999 or 000091.
And I can completely relate to that. One of the things in talking to the representative that we have, Nate, is that rather than just telling me, he actually showed me, and that's why I know you're not here tonight. I brought the laptop that has the cameras from Blue Water on it, because that's that system already working right now on a mobile device. What he did is he showed me access on their offices in Phoenix, in London, how those things worked, and actually had it downloaded to my phone within a matter of minutes.
Just reset it.
And so I can totally relate to that. I was able to look at that. IT was also able to have access to those cameras, to put those up and install those and see how they work. So we've actually had the opportunity to have hands-on experience with this program before we've even considered it.
What I'm basically saying, Mr. Widener and Francine board members, is that when we install these things, we gotta make sure that these things function the way that we contracted them for. And so we must be able to have a checklist that says, okay, it does this and does that and everything there, so that we can make sure that it does not, that we can be assured that we have seen that these things are going to occur, and it does. I don't want us to go back and find out that some part of the specifications did not include something that is not functional.
So if I may chime in again, one of the gentlemen that came down, his name is Casey, he's from A&M. He would be one of the people that we've looked at doing the installation. Once cameras are installed, they do not leave that site until they have gotten with either the director or security to ensure this camera's working, this is the view that we want. this door control is working, this visitor management system. That is their protocol. That's why A&M is a platinum member with Verkada, is because they know their system, they utilize that system, and they will not leave a site until they have made sure that everything 100% works the way it needs to.
President, I
Dr.
saw it a while
Archambault
ago, but I don't know where I could find it, but all I'm saying is that attached to the to our
It's board
purchase order
presentation PDF.
would be all of the specifications that we would then use to review that the system is going to function the way that we both agreed it will, sort of like a guarantee, a warranty, so that we are doing our due diligence when and that's in your ballpark, Isaac, is you gotta make sure that everything that that they say is gonna work does work. And so it would be a document that you would always reference and be a part of the purchasing contract. Is that
I
acceptable?
understand where,
Is that acceptable, Mr. Cooper?
Absolutely.
Okay, there you go. I'm done.
yeah,
All
I
right,
understand
thank you,
where-
sir. We appreciate that. And just so you know, the presentation in the board packet that has all of the information about what Verkada would be providing is titled Grant Cibola Board Presentation PDF. And it's a 38-page document. And that lists everything that Verkada would be doing, including the maps of all of the school sites and where cameras and detectors and everything is to be placed. And that's what Mr. Hawker and Mr. Tafoya were indicating, that as they came and walked through, it's tailor-made for our schools.
I see it.
Ms. Lee, if
now.
I may add, obviously our representative is a salesman, that is his job.
Sure.
But Mr. Casara is also watching the board presentation, and he made himself available if there were any questions or anything that would come up. He would be happy to answer those, and if I need to give that information to any of our board members, if they have questions or anything, he would be more than happy to answer those phone calls to give you that peace of mind.
Well, Mr. Whiter, Isaac and Mr. Cooper are the ones who are going to double check to make sure that the specifications that we have will match up to the purchase that we're going to make. And I just don't see how, I see the map for each school. It's just hard to figure out the diagrams. But what I'm seeing here is a map of Blue Water Elementary. I don't know what the
Yes, sir.
coding is.
They
But
should all be in there.
And so I have the different color coded symbols on cameras. It does not include the features that all the things that you guys were saying. So it must be down there someplace, or it is in a master description of what a specific kind of camera is going to how it's going to operate. So, because bottom line is, when a principal and a teacher gets it and they see it and they want to know, what does it do? And we have to be able to explain to the teacher, this is what it does, and it's doing it somehow, I guarantee. Thank you. I'm
And
done.
if I may add,
I'm comfortable with this now.
Thank you.
Francie and Mr. White.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you so very much. Appreciate that. Board members, we're going to move on now to action item E, consideration of approval of, D, not E. I apologize, getting ahead of myself here with the snow. Action item D, consideration of approval of the purchase of Verkada security cameras, access control and visitor management system in the amount of $1,917,079.94. Superintendent Widener, is there a recommendation, sir?
Yes, I do want to inform the board, because I believe Mr. Jaramillo and Mrs. Lee, you were on the board at the time, but in the fall of 2023, we applied for a safety grant from the New Mexico PED. We were awarded that grant. We used a portion of that grant to pay the, what was it called? DriftNet. And so we will be reimbursed that. We still have the remainder, we still have the full fundage of that grant. I know this is a big spend, but we will utilize those funds to go with this as well. So, this came to the Finance Committee last week, and the Finance Committee recommended that this be a full board decision. And so,
Thank you very much, Mr. Widener. Board members, is there a motion to approve the purchase of Verkada security cameras, access control, and visitor management system in the amount of $1,917,079.94?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second, please.
second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Ms. Hunt Daly and seconded by Mr. Jaramillo to approve the purchase of Verkada security cameras, access control, and visitor management system in the amount of $1,917,079.94. Board members, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we shall proceed to a roll call vote. Mrs. Sandoval, please.
Dr. Ashambo
Yes.
and Ms. Hunt Daly,
Yes.
Mr. Jaramillo,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Aye, the motion carries. Next, we have Mr. Widener.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you very
For
much.
your service.
Thank you all again. We have another presentation. I've asked Mr. Jones to come and present. This is a technology that we are integrating into the district. This is a career program where our students in the broadcasting field learn how to do the technical side of putting together LED boards, screens for presentations. We've had one model that we've piloted, and now we would like to extend this to both of our comprehensive high schools, so they have this certification program for their students.
Perfect. Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Widener, our high school administrators are really excited about this. So we, as was mentioned by Mr. Widener, we have a Show Boss setup. To give you some history, Show Boss is a big name in the entertainment world. It is a specific system, and you can kind of see on the webpage that I just pulled up, it's kind of this hoist system where you can, you erect a frame and you hang the LED panels, and it's a portable screen. So what I love the most about this system is when we purchased this system in the past, they came and trained our administrators as trainers, and our students can be certified Show Boss technicians, which if you want to get in the entertainment space is a leg up or a step into the door to work in this space. So that first system is utilized frequently. It's something that we're looking to expand. This expansion will allow both of our high schools to have that curriculum support and all of the hardware to have this big screen. If you attended the district's Welcome Back event, Mr. Thomas Blackwell spoke in front of our previous screen.
Right.
The quality is amazing. Our students love it. Mr. Griner was up here earlier and I was talking to him about it and his eyes lit up. I know that Mr. Jaramillo down at Grants High School and also Mr. Gonzalez, who is here today, all have students that have used this system and can't say enough about it. And really, this is something that is a totally justifiable expense and it's 100% for student benefit. It's exciting.
Very good. Board members, questions for Mr. Jones?
So that'll be for both high schools?
Each high school will
Technical
have one,
deal,
yeah.
be-
And when we did this quote, we made sure that it included the upgraded
Software.
training and the upgraded curriculum and software. So this company is located in the Phoenix area and they bring it out and they set it up with students and with our staff and say, this is how we do it when we're on the road. With Alice Cooper was on their list, and they do a bunch of venues, like if you go to an Arizona Cardinals games, all of their screens are Showboss screens. So it's a big deal, and it is definitely important because this company is somewhat local. I mean, when our students graduate and they want to get a job in Phoenix,
That's kind of like a CTE program.
it's 100% in line with our CTE initiatives, and our CTSO students are participating in this heavily.
Board members?
Is there only a quote associated with this in the packet?
There is.
There's no visual description of its features.
If you would
Am I
like,
correct?
I can pull up the quote.
Well, I see the quote.
He wants
But
to know size and.
what does it do? Not size, but what does it do?
Okay, do.
And so I don't see a description of why we want it, other than you orally presenting that it's to do it's to provide a technology that is used. Well, it's either used by students or teachers, and I couldn't tell the difference. Couldn't tell. So when you purchase this thing for $109,000, do you have a specification of its functions? That's what needs to be attached to the purchase order when you do complete the process, is that we must have a description of its functions, so that if it does not work properly, that we can say, well, here's your description of it, and it's not functioning as it should. Do you see what I would want to have attached to the purchase order, along with the amount of $109,000?
Correct. So our current process is that we gathered a quote from Showboss. The reason why we went with Showboss is because we already have one of their systems. It is ran by students. The teachers or the sponsors are also trained. I'm having a hard time, because I can show you the quote and it'll give you the resolution specifications and the LED spacing. I don't know that that is super pertinent. If that's what you would like, I can deliver that to you.
No, that's not what
It
I'm
has
saying.
this here, but after payment is made, or after a purchase order is cut and this device is delivered, we match what is being delivered with what is on the original quote and the purchase order to ensure everything that we ordered is exactly to the specification of which we ordered. In the event that it's not, we make sure that that is resolved.
I guess what I'm getting to. Let me talk with Mr. Widener and Francie Lee at a different time, and with you, Mr. Cooper, and we can fine tune some of this stuff. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Happy to do so.
I do have a question. regarding the, you said that you had a similar system. Where is that located? At Grants?
It is currently housed at Grants High School, but it is being shared between Grants High School and Laguna Acoma High School currently. What we're finding out is graduation is Friday night at one school and Saturday morning in the other. And these students could potentially have a logistics constraint saying, well, we've got to tear this thing down, get it across the district and set back up for graduation in the morning. In addition to, these panels can be broken down for senior night, for sporting events and those sorts of things. It's really been utilized heavily by Mr. Greiner as well with some of those presentations that he does with his students. We just want to avoid any potential scheduling conflicts by making sure both high schools have one of these systems in place so that they can use them at their discretion.
So what you're saying is you're gonna have a system at each high school and they won't have to travel back and forth.
Yes, ma'am.
And so what happens to the existing system that you have at Grants now?
It will still be utilized.
Utilize how and where?
Explain how they're panels.
Yeah, so let me take a step back, Ms. Hunt Daly. This giant screen breaks down into smaller squares, and these smaller squares can be configured in a rectangle or a strip, or they can be set up vertical. So like I've seen that they've used them for like athlete highlights where they're standing and you can see them, head to toe holding a basketball or whatever it is. So it's something that this existing system and our old system will be compatible with. Does that answer your question?
Well, I just want to ensure, and you say that both high schools are going to have it, because I know at the last graduation at Laguna Acoma was horrible, and
Which
history. I don't want history repeating itself, where one school gets everything new, and then the next school gets its leftovers or gets the old stuff.
Absolutely, I'm totally on the same page, and we're happy to report that the stage system has also been delivered at Laguna Acoma High School this week. So hopefully
Stealing the superintendent's
so
thunder.
hopefully how horrible it was last year, we have lots of room for improvement. And I need you to know, and I've said publicly numerous times, I want every student in our school district to succeed and to have these tools and to have staff that supports them. So we'll make sure that every student has the ability to get trained in Show Boss if they have a desire to do so. And I promise you that, Ms. Hunt Daly.
Okay,
Well-
I'll hold you to that, Mr. Cooper.
Please do.
You're gonna have to run that through Mr. Weiner.
Perfect.
All right. Anything further on this, board members?
Nothing.
Okay, consideration of approval, we're gonna move to action item E. Consideration of approval of the purchase of Showboss Technology Entertainment System and curriculum in the amount of $109,814.34. Superintendent Weiner, is there recommendations, sir?
This came to the finance committee. The finance committee recommended that this come to the full board.
Wonderful. Board members, is there a motion to approve the purchase of Showboss Technology Entertainment System and curriculum in the amount of $109,814.34?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. It has been moved by Mr. Jaramillo and seconded by Dr. Archambault to approve the purchase of Showboss Technology Entertainment System and curriculum in the amount of $109,814.34. Is there any further discussion, board members? Hearing none, we shall proceed to a roll call vote. Mrs. Sandoval, please.
Dr. Archambault,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt Daly,
Yes,
Mr. Jaramillo,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Aye, motion carries. Mr. Widener, we have Mr. Jones again, sir.
Mr. Jones is here again. I will let you, I will remind you guys that you just passed the show boss and that is curricular. So that was goal number 1 of the strategic plan. And also helps our kids with career technical education. The next item goes to engaging our communities and families under the strategic plan. Tomorrow we will start the first of our budget sessions with stakeholders and having meetings. And so Mr. Jones is going to talk to you about the purchase of a portable, mobile, lightweight, large screen that we can utilize for functions and gatherings. If we want to do school board meetings at other locations, we can have the screens and all of that. So, Mr. Jones.
Perfect. I'm excited. Madam President, members of the board, the show bus system satisfies the needs of the high schools, but we have a lot of other schools in our district that have some needs. So when I went looking for this, what kind of sparked this in me, I guess, was we all attended the Blue Water Open House. And at the Blue Water Open House, they had a 65-inch smartboard. And if you were sitting any further than 15 feet away, you did not see a single thing that was on that board. So you don't look at it. So there are things that our community needs to hear. Open houses, when we are doing these community events, mobile board meetings was brought up. I'm thinking spelling bee and ag day and the career fair and the archery tournament and all of these things. This device will be housed with the technology department and will be deployed as needed for all of those extra events. And I have a visual as well that kind of gives a breakdown of what the screen is and what it can do. What I love the most about this system is it is just the perfect fit for making sure that we can engage our communities when they come into our schools, because it's our marquee of sorts, where you can go in and you can sing along with the kids as they're doing the Veterans Day presentation and Cibola and all of those things. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I need you to know that this item and the next item are somewhat connected, as we have gotten amazing pricing on this device because they really want our printer contract. And they have said that. So I find that I may be an oversharer, but I'm just totally transparent. These usually go for somewhere between 90 to 100,000 with the quotes that I was generating. That was in line with that. This screen is going to be 59,200, and we're able to piggyback off some of their existing contracts with other entities in the state.
Board members, questions? I have 60.
So again, I'm going to ask, where are we going to locate this? And if we're transporting it between the number of schools that we have, is it going to, I guess, retain or be able to handle the wear and tear of moving it here and there? Or is there a suggestion of where it should be centrally located?
Sure. So the technology department will house this and maintain it and make sure that it is taken care of. We have a van in our technology department's fleet where when this is folded up and all the way down, it should be able to wheel in, or will be able to wheel in. Additionally, if that van is doing other things, the district owns a box truck and a van that we can use to move this. I will be totally honest, I don't have a home for it yet. I would like for it to be used regularly. I had even thought about putting it in our boardroom, though we might all get a suntan because this thing is big. It's something that could also live in our training room. That's a room that's utilized quite a bit. We have some storage space, both at the technology department and at the Continental Divide building that we purchased. And we will work out a process to ensure that all sites have the ability to request this and have it delivered in a timely manner so that there's not a ton of scheduling conflicts.
Oh,
So we could have like meetings at different places.
Absolutely. So 138 inches diagonally is like 4 of these. So 2 and 2. So it's a movie screen. It's really what it is. And it has some software where you can cast to it or you can hardline things into it. I mean, this is something that, like we were talking about with Trish Garcia, what are we doing for our students that have perfect attendance? Like, if you want to have a movie day, this is the thing to have for your movie day so that everybody can participate and be seen. So it's something that we can utilize for students as well as our community, which is domain 4, community outreach and making sure that we're communicating with our parents.
and out of what budget is that 68,000 coming from?
So this will be an operational fund expenditure, though I'm sure that I could use bond funding to do that. I'll stop there.
I have no questions.
Yes, sir.
I have no questions.
Oh, perfect.
All right, board members will move on to action item F. Consideration of approval of the purchase of 138-inch portable screen for banquets, community events, training, et cetera, in the amount of $68,125.53. Superintendent Widener, is their recommendation, sir?
The Finance Committee looked at this last week, discussed this technology, and wanted the board to take action.
Board members, is there a motion to approve the purchase of a 138-inch portable screen for banquets, community events, training, et cetera, in the amount of $68,125.53?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second and add that hold Mr. Cooper to his being equitable use throughout the district.
Yes, ma'am. It has been moved by Dr. Archambault and seconded by Ms. Hunt Daly to approve the purchase 138-inch portable screen for banquets, community events, training, et cetera, in the amount of $68,125.53. Is there any further discussion, board members? Hearing none, we shall proceed to a roll call vote. Mrs. Sandoval, please.
Dr. Shambo,
Yes. Yes.
Mrs. Hunt Daly,
Yes.
Mr. Jaramillo,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Aye, the motion carries. Mr. Widener, yet another, sir.
The last presentation tonight will be, again, Mr. Jones. He has been vetting printer contracts and looking at different printer services. As you know, that's technology in the schools, and we have lots of printers that we lease around the district, and so I guess that is safe and inclusive schools. And but Mr. Jones, why don't you talk to them about DSI?
Same verse, first verse, second verse, same as the first. Madam President, members of the board, this is business time. This is something that I'm finding myself aligning with Isaac and Scott in terms of geeking out, so to speak, about the technological upgrades that are coming across our district. So our printer lease, our current printer lease is up for renewal in July. This is something that I have vetted. I've personally talked to our suppliers at both Konica Minolta, which is a printer company, and Canon. They are looking at potentially 30% increase on all prices starting tomorrow. So like Dr. Archambault mentioned, when you hear those sorts of things, you do your research and you look around, and that is the same across the board for every contract that we've looked at. I'll have you know, before I get into kind of the bells and whistles of these new printers, we are able to piggyback off of a recent UNM contract, state purchasing agreement, which saves the district $60,000 versus the CES pricing. So this is something that is a huge cost savings for us. On the other side of this, 100% of our printers in the district will be upgraded with a brand new model and with the step up, because we're having some printer issues when we looked at all of the data with the volume at certain printers and how much they are being replaced and all of those things. Essentially, what we can do with this new lease is improve our total print time or reduce it by 25%, which I know that doesn't seem like a lot if you're not making a lot of copies, but if you are working in an department that is very paperwork heavy, 25% is a significant portion of your time that you get back. Additionally, this new system includes a product called PaperCut. And what PaperCut does is allows total confidentiality of all documents that are printed specific to the user. So if you hit print on your device, it goes into an online print queue, and it will not print until you take your badge and place it on the scanner on the printer, and it will only give you the documents specific to you as the user. So for our students that are doing IEPs, or you have, like our nurses work with shot records and those sorts of things, we kind of created this issue where everybody has a desktop printer because everybody prints something confidential, and that will reduce this, which will reduce our expenses in terms of personal printer ink and all of those things. I'm really excited about being able to refresh. What I really appreciate about DSI as a vendor is they have a new location in Gallup, and their flagship location is in Albuquerque. So we are an hour away from a service call at any given point. So if there's parts that we need and they're not in Gallup, they're gonna be in Albuquerque because that's their hub. Our current situation is not dire, but we find ourselves in a position where, hey, we have a printer that's down that needs fixed, and it's, hey, we'll be there as soon as we can be there, and sometimes that's a week. So then we have teachers that are walking, to the front office or to a different printer to make sure that that happens, and it just disrupts their day, where hopefully we can mitigate as much of that as possible.
They use a printer here too, don't they?
And I'm ready for any questions that you might have. This one's kind of boring compared to the others, but nevertheless exciting. I know that our teachers and administrators are really excited. This is a vendor that we have used in the past, and their customer service is superior to our current supplier.
Board members, questions for Mr. Jones?
Mr. Jones, I guess this is probably a pet peeve. Will when you say you're gonna use your card, it will also indicate those heavy users of the paper, the ink, and so forth. You'll be able to track that?
Yes, ma'am. So that will also allow us to measure volume by user. So
Okay.
if you're me and I have a business on the side, and it's like, why is Cooper Jones printing 1,000 color pages every Friday night? We'll be able to set that up where it'll notify us, and we can have those conversations to make sure that we are not being wasteful with our resources that the school is giving to our teachers. So we have more for students.
Okay, well, that's commendable. I guess the reason I asked, my poor late husband, he would only need 2 or 3 copies, and then he goes up and somebody's printing a book. And then when they're done, then he goes back up and all the toner is used up and has to be replaced. And we have a system where I currently work, is we have a number, and every time we print something, we have to punch in our number, It also keeps track of those that print books and so I'm comfortable with the idea that you can track and maybe cut down on some of the waste that's happening. And I know it happens at every school, every district, every state, that there's just those, like you said, that will print hundreds of copies at one period of time. And for those of us who just need a couple of copies, we have to stand in line or wait until the next day to get our copies. But I appreciate the idea that you're hoping that this will kind of curb and you can be studious about watching the volume and not to just get on certain staff that are doing it, but just to control the cost and control the expense.
Yes, ma'am, I appreciate your input on that, and we're aiming to please.
Anything else, board members?
No.
I have a question, sir. How many printers will be at sites, or we don't know that yet? What is the rollout?
So it's currently a one-to-one replacement. I can give you the breakdown per site if you would like.
No, just a rough estimate of numbers, if you don't mind.
I think we have 77 printers.
Thank you.
Printers, faxers, copiers, and what I love about this as well is like they went out to Blue Water and looked at our current setup, and the printer that they have is super dilapidated and quite literally held together with Scotch tape currently, and it falls off the network and it has these issues, and they did their analysis and they said, not only do you need a bigger printer, but we're gonna add one here. And that's something that we can shift as we're gonna have better data in terms of volume. So if we're finding an issue and there's a line out the door to use the copy machine, now we have the data to say, let's put another one in this room as well so that we can make sure that our needs are met.
Excellent. Anything else, board members? All right, we will move now to action item G. Consideration of approval of the printer lease up for renewal, DSI quote, and badge security functionality in the amount of $316,433.58. Superintendent Widener.
This one is, as Mr. Jones said, not as flashy as the others, but it is a lease, and we do lease 77 printers, and this came to the finance committee, and the finance committee has recommended that the board take action.
Excellent. Board members, is there a motion to approve the printer lease up for renewal, DSI quote and badge slash security functionality in the amount, excuse me, in the amount of $316,433.58?
So moved.
So moved.
Oh,
Walter beat you to it, sir.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Mr. Jaramillo and seconded by Dr. Archambault to approve the printer lease up for renewal, DSI quote and badge slash security functionality in the amount of $316,433.58. Board members, any discussion? Hearing none.
Question, Mr. Cooper, how many times do we have to do this? Or how long do these things last, or lease last?
Yeah, so technically this is something that didn't have to come to the board. I'm a super extra transparent person, so I'm just being super careful. This will be a 5-year lease. It comes out to a little over $6,000 a month, which is relatively inexpensive considering how many devices that we have out. And that includes all of the support for those devices as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we voting?
Yes, ma'am. I was just gonna ask if there was anything further. Hearing nothing else, we shall proceed to a roll call vote. Mrs. Sandoval, please.
Dr. Shambo,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt Daly,
Yes.
Mr. Hadamio,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Aye, motion carries. We are gonna move to consent agenda quickly here, then we'll get to your superintendent's report. Consent agenda, board members, budget and finance, there's one bar increasing 27502 Career Technical Education Program Pilot. Superintendent Widener, is there a recommendation, sir?
I recommend that we do approve the consent agenda.
Excellent. Board members, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as listed?
So moved.
And a second?
And second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Mr. Hadamio and seconded by Dr. Archambault to approve the consent agenda as listed, including the bar. We shall proceed to a roll call vote. Mrs. Sandoval, please.
Dr. Shambo,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt Daly,
Yes.
Mr. Hadamio,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Aye, the motion carries. All right, Superintendent Widener, it is all you, sir.
So the superintendent's report tonight, I really want to update you guys on some happenings and progresses that we've made. The first, Mr. Jones kind of stole my thunder a little bit ago, but Mrs. Hunt Daly, I was sitting there at graduation with you last year and I said when I left graduation at Laguna Acoma that we definitely needed to improve on a couple of things. And so we did order a new stage for Laguna Acoma High School, a bigger stage, because you know, we were up there presenting diplomas and we need space. And so we have a new stage that was delivered last week, and they are currently updating the sound system in the gym so we can hear better. And you know, I know a lot of their events, they have to have kind of a DJ kind of setup, you know, on the side, and we definitely want to improve on that sound system. So we've had technicians out there working on improving the sound system and the soundboard. At some point, there was a leak that got the soundboards and got the cables, and so we're working on making that sound system. My hope, and now we have these really great screens and show bosses, and I'm excited to see the kids walking across the stage at the graduations. We want our graduations to be great at all three of our high schools, and so I know we're working with early college high schools, so their graduation is great, but I wanted to let you know that we did order a new stage for Laguna Acoma High School. Our last school board meeting, our last regular board meeting, you all met with the attorney that night, and she had mentioned that she was helping me during the day with Mesa View. And so I just kind of wanted to update you. We've made wonderful progress on the Mesa View project. Over the last few months, we've kind of been at a standstill where we had the engineers design a structural system that the contractors weren't sure how to implement. And so we've had to involve attorneys for the engineering group and for the contractors, and then of course the district's attorneys and the attorneys from PSFA. And so that was what happened that day when board's council was here. And so we were talking about the Mesa View project. We now have a solution that all parties are kind of agreeing to, that will allow us to make sure that Mesa View is a safe building and it's structurally sound and that the building will be there for 50 years. We are currently projected at least 6 months behind on, Originally, the thought was that Mesa View would be done this summer. It looks like we are at least 6 months behind on progress. And so, but we are getting the ball rolling again on the work. And we're gonna start seeing large crews there and we're gonna see things happening with Mesa View. Our calendar committee. Our calendar committee has met 2 times, and the calendars, the suggested calendars and, the calendars that our committee has picked, has gone out to all staff. I know as a board, you always want to make sure that the stakeholders all have a say in how the calendar looks. Mrs. Jones and I met this afternoon, and she has over 260 votes from teachers and educational assistants, and they're from all campuses. And so we will continue to collect votes before we bring a calendar to you. Our hope is by next board meeting to have the calendar that the majority wants, and we want to bring that to you.
The link will be live until April 4th. So on April 4th, I will disable the link and then take the data from the vote and I can present that with the calendar at the April 15th board meeting.
Thank you.
Any of our faculty that are out there watching on YouTube tonight, go vote for the calendar you want. We want your input. So if you work for the school district, let us know what calendar you want. And so hopefully at our April 15th meeting, we will be able to decide on a calendar. Dr. Archambault and I have last board meeting, you guys found out about a letter that was sent to you all with suggestions, actions that could help improve our relationships with our Acoma partners, with our tribal relations. And some of the topics included our IPP, our IPAC. In the last 2 weeks, I have responded to our friends, to our partners at the Pueblo of Acoma. And we all are in agreement that we want to collaborate. We want to do what's best for the children that go to Grant Cibola County Schools. We want to do what's best for the kids that live on the Pueblos and go to our schools there. At our last board meeting, our last regular board meeting, Mrs. Hunt Daly informed us that the Pueblo of Laguna would also like to collaborate and be involved in collaborations. That includes tribal consultations, that includes involvement in kind of everything that we're doing with our Title VI employees and our students and FERPA forms, and there's a whole lot that's involved there, but we all are in agreement that we want to partner and we want to be collaborative. I have since met with the U.S. Office of Indian Education, kind of getting advisement from them. I've done some partnering with the the NMPED Office of Indian Education, and I have talked to one attorney, the attorney that you all met the other night, and kind of got consultation from her. And so we continue to work on tribal relations. We are continuing to try to have meetings, regular meetings. We definitely are working with our partners, and Dr. Archambault sent me some really good suggestions that he thought could help improve on tribal relations, and I'm definitely taking those into account as well. So I wanted to update you on that, let you know that you all were included on my response and we'll continue working on massaging those relationships. And Mr. Jones tomorrow night is going to have the first of the budget stakeholder meetings. He's holding a meeting here at central office tomorrow at 5:30, Mr. Jones? 4. At 4, I apologize. It'll be at 4 o'clock tomorrow. The flyer is in your packets. We will also, Mrs. Hunt Daly, we will have one of those meetings on the east side. I believe we're gonna do that at Cabero.
Correct.
And we will have a stakeholder meeting at Cabero Elementary School, and we will have a stakeholder meeting at Blue Water Elementary School. And so on the west side. And so we really wanna make sure that our stakeholders have a say in what the budget is and what it goes to, and kind of get some advisement on how to proceed with that. But that's kind of everything for the superintendent's report. If you have any questions.
I do, on that tribal relations, you said employees for Title VI, how many employees are involved in that?
It's 9 employees, Mrs. Jones?
Currently we have 8.
We have 8 Title VI employees, and what they do, Mr. Jaramillo, is they're the folks that help us build those relationships and bridge with the families. They're at the different school sites. They call if a child isn't at school, if a child is failing or not doing well in school. They work with kind of as the liaison to help us work with the families. And they often, our Title VI employees often partner with Acoma Department of Education, Laguna Department of Education, and kind of share what information they can depending on FERPA forms and all of that.
Where does that come from? I mean, who funds that? Does it come out of our operational funds or?
Title VI is funded out of the signatures on the IPP. Mrs. Jones applies for, talk about Title VI.
Title VI is funded through the Office of Indian Education. It comes direct to us. We do drawdowns for it. It doesn't flow through the state. So it is a grant that comes directly from Washington DC, from the Office of Indian Education. Traditionally, in the past years, our district has used that funding, the Title VI funding, which is about $350,000, to fund salaries and benefits for the Title VI liaisons. There's a little bit in there that is used for student consumables, and then there's indirect costs. But the majority of that grant is spent on salaries and benefits for those Title VI liaisons or those EAs that are at each of the school sites.
Does that fall under shaky ground with what's happening around us, or is it safe?
When we went to Las Vegas in December on a separate thing, so with Impact Aid, they talked about, because Impact Aid and Office of Indian Education were under the Department of Education, those could potentially be put under the Department of the Interior in the event that the Department of Education was disbanded. So I haven't heard that there's any movement of those things yet, because I don't believe that, I think that has to go through Congress in order to have that disbanded. So I don't believe that those have been moved yet. There has not been any indication. I was on a Impact Aid webinar this afternoon, and it was business as usual.
Thank you.
Do we have dates for those stakeholder
President?
meetings?
Madam President?
Yes, sir. I was asking if we have dates for the stakeholder meetings,
Okay.
and then we'll get to your question, sir.
April 8th in Cubero, April 16th in Blue Water, and that'll be at the elementary schools for both.
At 4 o'clock,
16th,
all of them.
4 to 5.
Thank you. Guy?
Yeah, board and Mr. Widener, if you would look on the NMSBA website, you'll find a couple of you probably have to dig through different years, but you probably will find some of the School Board Association trainings that related to tribal school district relations. So if you might, that's just a reference for you. And we can look at that at some point. I just remember that some time back. I don't know whether there's two or three or whether it's just one, but it might be a good resource to look at. The other one, of course, was the Indian Ed guidance on the structures and processes of the tribal consultation, and I think we both just identified that as being a possible tool that can be used to help and to do that. So what what I'd like to send you is sort of an overview also that I can share with you, is sort of like identifying some key points that also would be important for us to consider as we are developing those relationships. And you can give those sort of to the board members whenever you get a chance. It's sort of like highlighting some of the essential elements of the good tribal relations that would be beneficial for us and for you and for the board. Thank you for making the presentation. I think that it provides a positive outlook as to what we are going to do. And I think that we need to establish a profound sense of respect for each other and to seek to achieve the same goals that are confronting us. We know that that our students, our Native American students, are vital to the existence of tribes, and that they are very concerned and hopeful for the academic achievement of their students. We recognize that throughout the state and even in our school district, there is quite a steep curve that we have to overcome at this point. But if we can establish trust and build relationships, that'd be great. If we can ensure that we are going to have equitable access and culturally responsive education for our kids, it'll be good, and ultimately be able to collaborate as both the district policies and the state and federal guidelines are. I don't know whether the federal government will be in existence tomorrow, but this is my facetiousness. On an aside on Title VI, the Title VI is part of the ESSA, of the federal education legislation that covers everything from Title I to Title 7, 8, and that'll be a challenge for it to be changed, because it's embedded into Indian Ed is embedded into the overall comprehensive education legislation for the federal government. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Shambo, I appreciate your guidance on, I mean, you've kind of helped me a lot with this, and I want us to get our train back on track and all of us going in the same direction. So I'm looking very forward to us all collaborating and working together. So thank you for those suggestions, and I will share those with the other board members.
Thank you.
Superintendent, Laguna
ma'am.
also has the same concerns as Acoma, and that what they would like to have established is a true training in tribal consultation, because there's certain areas that our district has not has failed to complete as far as the meaning of real tribal consultation. And so we're hoping to set up a time when the Indian Ed Committee or department will come out to assist the tribal council and the staff officers in true tribal consultation and what's involved in it, as well as some of the policies that are being forwarded, that they would like to see more of input from the community as far as the IPAC committee and the IPAC meetings, as well as Title VI, well, actually all the title programs and what's involved in that. And in accordance with data, that there would like to see more of a disaggregated contribution of data especially the IMASA and how it pertains to our different cultural groups. Of course, you know that at Laguna Acoma, we also have not just Laguna students, but we also have Acoma students and Navajo students. And so we need to incorporate all of them so that we can see that they're progressing along the same lines as the other students, and what we need to do to engage them and to get them a more active participant in their education. We've got a long ways to go, and I appreciate that we can establish a better relations among all three tribes and other tribes, because I know that in Grants there are some Plains Indians tribes there as well, even though they're not included in our tribal consultation format. We should be able to listen to them as well, because I do have several non-Lagunas, non-Acamas, non-Navajos asking me, well, where do we fit in? And I've never been apprised that. I thought, you know what? I don't know. I will have to ask, and maybe we can consider getting input from them as well. So I appreciate the effort that we're going to seek a better method of tribal consultation in the future.
Thank you, Mrs. Hunt Daly. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your guidance as well, and support on that. I agree, we definitely need to do better with partnering with all of our communities, and our friends from Acoma said it best in the letter that our children are our best hope for the future, and that is true. All of our children are the best hope for the future, and
And you might consider having some meetings. I know you have one at Cabero, but we also have two land grants, the Cabero land grant and the Cibola land grant, that we should also be included in these meetings, as well as at the Laguna itself and at the Acoma Tribal Building. We used to do that quite often when I first got on the board, and it was an surety that we would meet at these individual pueblos meeting halls, and so far we have not met at one, and so we need to ensure that we're going to do that in the future.
thank you, Mrs. Daly.
One last suggestion, Madam President.
Sir?
The two tribes, actually the three tribes, the Navajo Nation are divided into chapters, and each area has a chapter. And then of course, Acoma is there. And they each have a structure that enables the general community to meet to discuss a range of items. And we call them community meetings or general meetings. And with Acoma, they do that. I'm not sure about Laguna, Emily, but it might be worth your while to consider attending one of those. Of course, that you would have to talk with the tribal leadership if there's an opportunity to do that, so that it provides a greater exposure to the work of what Grants is doing with the kids. And I'll share some thoughts on that to you also. I'll send that to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, Laguna has village meetings. We have 6 villages, and we have meetings, I believe, every Thursday. And some of them are quite lengthy, so I would almost suggest that maybe we have a meeting that incorporates all the 2 tribes, as well as the land grant contingency as well, so that we can all meet and discuss and bring up things that are affecting all our students on the east side. And I'll work with, we'll see if Dr. Guy and I can work with both tribes to set up some kind of consortium where we can all meet together.
I appreciate that.
That's all I have, Madam President.
Thank you. I think we have, I think it's all you, sir, because I think it's announcements now.
I do have announcements. Again, tomorrow night will be our first budget stakeholder meeting. There is a QR code on the flyers, so people can give their input. We will have one in Blue Water
April 16th.
and one in Cubero on April 8th. And so we would love for stakeholders to come and be a part of the budget process and help us with how to best budget our funds. As Dr. Guy has mentioned a few times, a lot of our budget goes to salaries and personnel, but we would love to have stakeholder input on how to utilize the rest of the funds. April 9th, we have the New Mexico ASBO Spring Budget Workshop beginning. We also have a regional NMSBA meeting that night in Rio Rancho. April 15th, we will have our regular school board meeting. And the district will close on April 18th for Good Friday. Right now, we have a special executive session board meeting scheduled for April 21st, which is the Monday after Easter. And then April 30th, we will have our early dismissal day for professional development, PLCs, and mentoring. We have our district mentor here then on April 30th. And so those are the announcements, and I can talk about future
Sure.
agenda items.
Sounds great.
One more question, Mr. Widener. What time is that budget meeting at Cabero on the 8th?
It'll be at 4 o'clock, Mrs. Hunt Daly.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And then future agenda items. This one today has been kind of a hot topic. As I've mentioned, we're working a lot on systems district-wide and procedures and making sure that all of our systems and procedures align with our policies. The GCCS disciplinary handbook is hit and miss depending on what campus you're at right now. And so right now I have the systems team working on really solidifying a discipline handbook that is consistent around the district. And so if you get in trouble at San Rafael Elementary, the consequences are the same at Mount Taylor Elementary. We want to make sure that we have that consistency. So of course, we have committees of employees and administrators that are working on that. And so I hope to have a solid, cohesive disciplinary handbook coming to you guys in the near future. And Dr. Martin is going to have to really start shining our data. It's that time of year again where we're collecting data, and so future agenda, Dr. Martin will be presenting on the NMASA and the IMASA that Dr. Archambault was just talking about. Last year, the Finance Committee recommended to the board that we bring this health and wellness benefit stipend for employees to the employees. We need to reevaluate if that is a good system, if it's working effectively. How does that look in the business office, and talk about the legislative increases in salary that we will have to mandate. We see a lot of the work of our CTE kids, our CTSO students, and so I'd like to have a conversation in a future board meeting where we talk about the CTE. The show boss is a new CTE, and so We'll need a CTE update. Calendar will be on the next board meeting and budget will be coming up. It will be, Mr. Jones and his team will be at the spring budget workshop next week. And so they'll be ready to start solidifying some of the budget. And that's all of the future agenda items.
Madam President, I've got a little concern.
Sir,
4 o'clock at Cubero, I think that's way too early. I think you're gonna
No,
miss a lot of people, so I'm not sure who you were thinking of having there. So you need to
I'll
discuss
let
that.
I'll let Mr. Jones address that one.
So I've done a lot of data gathering and I'll also made sure that we're in compliance with NMPED in terms of making sure that we are listening to our stakeholders when we are making our budgets. And frankly, the in-person meetings historically have been attended at the most by like 2 or 3 people, even with plenty of advance notice and making sure that we're meeting at an appropriate time and all of those things. So I have talked with the director of school budget, school finance, and our personal budget analyst, and I have created a survey that we will put on our website, that we will put on our Facebook page. It's something that we will remind people to do on a robocall. We are going to have our administrators have their teachers send it home with their students. I would love to have 2,000 people take the survey, or 5,000 people take the survey, or whatever it is, so that we can kind of be guided. I just don't know that the in-person meetings are gonna yield the results that we desire as a standalone mission. I'm happy to do meetings at any time and at any place. I just think that the feasibility and being able to either click a link or scan a QR code is superior than somebody that's gonna come to me where I'm just gonna have the survey available for them to take anyways.
And the concern, I think, Guy, correct me if I'm wrong, but your concern is that 4 o'clock is too early, sir, and that you'll be missing the opportunity to have people join after work hours. But I think Mr. Jones had a reason for selecting 4 o'clock start time.
Yeah,
I
so
understand that, but that's the
honestly,
board's, it's the board's budget. And I know that Mr. Cooper has our interests at heart, but I think that that is still something that we as a board need to decide. I don't think that it's the most efficient way, and even though you're saying that not very many people come, 4 o'clock would make it even worse. And for the tribes, you're saying that the tribes are going to come to Cubero at that point in time. That isn't quite establishing the initiative of creating good relationships with the tribes, especially on that side. If you're doing it at Blue Water, did you say Blue Water or where's the other location?
Blue Water's the other location.
Yeah.
And
We're already dismissing the likelihood that people are going to come. I would prefer that we not do that. That we basically need to make sure that we invite people there that they know, and to do it at 4 o'clock is just untenable to me.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I'd almost like to do it sooner in the day so that as their parents are picking those kids up from school,
They're not going to stay.
still them for a second.
They're not going to stay. They're going to pick up the kids and go. I know Cubero, how that works. It's we're already writing off the idea that we're going to have public meetings. I think that's not correct. I think we need to be able to do it in a way that is attractive, and I know that Cubero is there, and but it's not quite the best place possible. You could also do it at LA High School. That'd be more accessible. But 4 o'clock is not work. I think you should do it at 6 o'clock. And therefore, now I know that we say that our parents don't participate But if we're gonna get tribal involvement, then we need to be able to say that to them that it is something that we're working towards. So, Mr. Wagner, that's my position on that, and I think that we need to rethink the time of that.
Thank you, Dr. Archambault. We'll talk about it, cause we might could do something, we might could get more families there. We'll talk about it, Dr. Archambault.
Yeah, let's use our.
There are already tomorrow?
There's one tomorrow.
There is one tomorrow. And my priority is that all students and their parents, and honestly, if I have students that scan the QR code, they should do the survey. And they should say how we spend our money because they are our biggest stakeholders. So my priority is that everybody can do it. I think that going virtual is an avenue that we have not yet explored to receive feedback.
In addition to the in-person.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one last comment to Mr. Jones. You might consider the fact that we just spent a lot of money for the schools with this new sound system, the stage, and with very little input from the schools themselves or the community surrounding those schools. So when you say you want them involved in the budget and understanding how the money is being spent, well, we sure didn't include them in the votes that we took tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
I think that we should move to adjourn.
Would you like
Please and thank you.
to recommend that?
Would there be a recommendation, sir?
I recommend we adjourn the meeting.
I second.
Mr. Widener.
Oh,
Or is there a motion, board members?
I so move.
Thank you. And a second.
Come on, Dr. Guy.
I'm here
Thank you.
relaxed. I don't have to second. I second it.
It has been moved by Ms. Hunt Daly and seconded by Mr. Jaramillo to adjourn the meeting as presented. Mrs. Sandoval.
Dr. Shambo,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt Daly,
Yes.
Mr. Jaramillo,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Aye, the motion carries. The board has adjourned at 9:07 PM. Thank you.